Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to the ArchCast, where we are going to start off with a couple points of levity, because a couple of retarded things have happened this week, and this one happened literally hours before we went live now, and that is that the Easter Sunday this year is being covered up by Transgender Day of Visibility, by official decree of the President of the United States of America, Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Well, actually, the first thing that happened, Arch, is the reason we're late is because you streamed to the wrong source.
That's not the reason we were late, Dev. There was a 30-second delay in a 13-minute dev.
You had to go back and delete another, you accidentally made a second stream and everyone's waiting in this one and it was a whole thing. That's what's going on here.
Service
guarantee
We're here, guys. Let's go.
I'm going to make up far more narratives about you now. I want you to know that.
I'm glad that you just admitted that they're all made up.
I will have revenge.
So, shall we talk about the Transgender Day of Visibility, Arch? Do you know what this day is all about?
Actually, I would rather talk about what Easter Sunday is.
Well, here, let me give you the 30-second sky-high view of the Trans Day of Visibility, okay?
Go on.
Because I think I did a video on this a few months back. Yeah, I was saying like why is it that that trans activists they claim to wield so much moral weight behind their cause, and generally the reason is suicide rates, right? Like the 41% is a pretty serious number. We don't want people to die. So what they say is, things are so serious regarding the trans issue. There's just heaps of bodies, and you want to be a good person. You want to prevent those deaths, right? And generally preventing them means preventing suicide, which generally means affirming people, right? That's the logic. And now this logic completely breaks down when you realize that they completely abandon this framework when it comes to actually deciding who is trans. They completely abandon the whole it's a medical thing to go into it's an identity thing. And then if it's an identity and you're 41%ing yourself over it, just identify out of it. You know what I mean? Like the logic doesn't work, right? But the reason that I know about the Trans Day of Visibility is because I looked into it for last year's Trans Day of Visibility when I was making this video. Because what you generally see, maybe it may even be in this one here. Yeah, so if you go down to the third paragraph in this White House thing, it mentions suicide rates, right? And what happens is for a while there was a push to be anti-violence against trans people. And I mean, fair enough, you shouldn't be violent against anyone, but they wanted to make it like an anti-violence against black people thing in America, because there's the rates of violence committed by black people and towards black people are pretty high in the United States. So they're because they're doing the intersectional thing, clearly it's the same with trans people, right? Turns out there's actually not that many trans victims. The logic doesn't track. So they expanded trans violence to mean trans suicide. And so that's why you have the Transgender Day of Visibility. And that's why it's so important to the progressives. Here's the issue, though. The Transgender Day of Visibility is always every year on March 31st. It is a holiday, if you want to call it a holiday. It is a day of commemoration that happens every year on March 31st. Now, I gave you a chart, Arch, in the link channel if you feel like pulling that up, because you realize once you look at this chart that Easter is not a holiday that is on the same day every year. It fluctuates, and it fluctuates due to some old religious reasons. And it just so happens that this year, Easter and the Transgender Day of Visibility are on the same day, March 31st.
And you know what should happen then, Dev?
What should happen, Arch?
The religion that has been established, as you say, for thousands of years should crush and trump and replace the recently made up holiday of nonsense. Under every single circumstance. It should not even be a question. The presidential decree should be, we're moving Transgender Day. because it would be stupid for us to have it over the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus motherfucking Christ.
Well, I did notice that if you go back to the White House website, there is an animated Easter bunny.
Yep.
In the White House logo, so they're still doing something for Easter, right?
Something, yeah. And you know what they're doing, Dev? You know what they're doing, Dev?
What?
Because you know how people often like to add insult to injury, I take it.
Heresy's the question.
Let's see
Fire
here.
is the answer.
Where did I put this link? Boom, boom, boom. As I wander through all of the little tabs I have held open for this.
Service guarantees
there we go.
citizenship.
All right, I'll put this one here in the links channel as well. So one of the things that they've updated is that for Easter eggs, so you can submit like Easter egg paintings for the Easter celebration, the submission must not include any questionable content, religious symbols, overtly religious themes.
It is a religious holiday. Well, I mean, it kind of isn't, it kind of isn't, right? Because
It kind of is.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that we've all noticed that a lot of the more explicitly Christian holidays have become secularized, right? Like, December 25th, Christmas, in the religious sense, is not really about a tree with presents under it and Santa, but it is in a secular sense, right? Easter is not really about the Easter bunny hiding eggs, but it is in a secular sense. So there are secular and religious versions of these holidays.
Yes, but in the case of the office of the President of the United States of America, forbidding religious symbols on Easter Sunday is a mild absurdity. No, fuck, it's not a mild absurdity. It's actually a relatively overt absurdity.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I agree with that for sure.
Because at the end of the day, the real point here is that this is... I think this is the... See, I'm not much of a Christian myself, either. I consider myself to be the kind of, like, pseudo-atheist who's like, yeah, there's probably something out there, but I don't know what the fuck it is. Because, soul and all that. But at the same time, this is the second most important holiday in the entirety of Christianity. And America is still an overwhelmingly Christian nation. And to have that holiday be trumped by Transgender Day of Visibility is a perfect sign of the time in which we live, where traditions, ancient traditions, 1,000-year-old traditions with immense gravitas in the American society is being quite casually just shoved off to the side for what is a highly partisan and one-sided political celebration of current year identity politics. Like, this is why people look at this nonsense and goes, it's basically a religion. Because any normal civil celebration, which is what this is supposed to be, would obviously go, no, we're not going to replace fucking Christmas or Easter Sunday.
I decided to look it up real quick. In 2022, 34% of Americans were Protestant, 23% were Catholic, 11% were some other type of Christian. Then you have 2% Mormons, 2% Jews, 6% other religions, and then 21% atheist or agnostic. So yeah, it's mostly a Christian nation still. Things haven't changed that much, to be honest. So I guess the question I have to ask is this really replacing Easter, or are they just doing both holidays at the same time?
Well, you could certainly argue that they're just doing both at the same time, but when has progressivism ever contented itself with being the equal party in a fair divide?
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's just when you look at that Easter calendar that I showed before, like, this issue won't come up again, at least not for a long time. So, like, next year, the Easter is happening on April 20th, which is everyone's favorite painter's birthday, I think. But April 20th will be Easter next year, so there won't be a conflict with March 31st. So I don't think this will be something like, if it was the same day every year, I then expect progressives to go completely overboard and demand that Easter be canceled to make way for the Trans Day of Visibility. But because it's not, I think this will probably just be forgotten. It'll be a minor thing, and then no one will care.
Firstly, I like the fact that you've memorized Hitler's birthday. Secondly,
it's 420, man.
I do in part agree. Like, this is not a problem that's going to come up again. But that is exactly the reason also why they should have moved the Transgender Day of Visibility. Like, this is a very simple solution here. No, this holiday is obviously, self-evidently, significantly less important to America, to the nation, to its people, to everyone who should be fucking care and matter on it, that this is the less important of the two. Move it to the day before, because Transgender Day of Visibility has no connection to any date. It's a made-up holiday to celebrate a made-up fucking problem, by the way. It is not fixed, which Easter Sunday is. It is always on a Sunday. In fact, that it has tremendous religious significance that it is on a Sunday, the day that Jesus rose from the grave. This should never have been a conflict.
No, I completely agree with you, yeah. I completely agree with you. It's not a big problem, but it is, for the little story that this is, it is stupid, yeah.
Well, I actually...
By the way...
Part of me wants to argue it is a big problem, because, again, this is so self-evident, and the fact that the agenda has reached this level of influence to the point where the president will actually declare that they are to be on the same day, and also ban religious symbology in the fucking Easter egg painting competition.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, this isn't just like a thing that happens in a vacuum. If it did, then okay, shrug. But it isn't. This is a sign of the sheer, overwhelming amount of influence that progressivism still has upon the institutions.
So here's what's interesting, right? Generally what happens is there's a headline that I'm talking in very general terms, not just about this. There's a headline that goes viral, or a quote is taken out of context, and then it turns into like a right-wing spin cycle on Twitter. But it turns out that the thing is actually not happening in the United States. It is basically, there's like a range of what's going on, and then the most extreme position is taken, and then that's pegged as what's actually happening, even though it's not. This happens a lot in the States. However, in Canada, generally what the right-wingers think America is doing, but it actually isn't happening, that directly happens in Canada. That actually happens. And I can give you an example using what we're talking about here, right? So I can see how this goes. Like, we both just admitted that this is ultimately a small story, because next year the day changes and it's not a big deal. However, there's definitely probably someone online somewhere right now saying, oh my God, they're completely deleting Easter. They're replacing Easter with the trans holiday. It's going to be illegal. Biden will make it illegal for you to celebrate Easter. And like, that's ridiculous, obviously, right? But it is the most extreme interpretation of these events. However, Canada has actually gone to the point where all of the various cultural holidays have been exchanged with secular government-mandated versions. That's actually happened here, okay? So, for example, I'll give you the Wikipedia page right here, Arch, to give you one obvious recent example. We have in Canada something known as Family Day, okay? Family Day is a secular, made-up holiday to replace Valentine's Day in February. And basically nobody in the Canadian government ever mentions Valentine's Day anymore. Now the people do. Everyone still celebrates Valentine's Day in the traditional way of, you get your partner gifts, so you go on a date or whatever, right? It's still a romantic holiday. But they basically secularized it into Family Day, and that's what the government pushes now. All of these various holidays that are in the English language, that exist in the Anglosphere, the Canadian government's actually done away with them. And replace them with stuff like this. So it's not happening in the States, but it sure as hell is happening here.
So what you're saying is, it is happening in the States, just not yet.
I don't think America is cocked enough to follow Canada's. Like, okay, the Canadian like land back acknowledgements, that shit. I know that some progressives want it to happen in America, and some right wingers think that it will, but it's not. But it is in Canada. Happens in Canada all the time. Like the most progressive cucked shit happens here in Canada. Like the stuff that right wingers make up about America is real here, and it's fucking frustrating living here.
See, that is exactly why I think, though, that it is going to happen. It's the same ideology. It's the same slope. It's the same slide. It's just that it is stuck on a slightly shorter speed in the US.
I think it's actually. I think it's different though. I think because the Canadians are non-confrontational and we're polite, and we generally do actually value diversity and inclusion. Like not in the lefty, progressive, Marxist way, but in the actual we're not going to be racist towards people way. We actually value those things in Canada, and we don't like to rock the boat. So I think this sort of stuff, it's easy to find purchase here. But America is significantly more independent. It's significantly more like fuck you up yours kind of oriented, where they just don't give a shit. They don't want to be told what to do. So I do like basically the woke nightmare is here, guys, but it's Canada, not America. That's basically the TLDR of the story.
I think the existence of Canada proves that we should not view this as a minor thing. I think the very fact that Canada has already done it seems to only add further value to being actually rather upset then that the Transgender Day of Visibility was not moved in favor of Easter Sunday.
Maybe. You'll have to see. But I guess the difference is... No, Arch, let me put it this way. Until Biden comes out and says Valentine's Day is banned because it's too religious, you now get the Canadian Family Day instead, Americans. Until that happens, I think things are fine.
Yeah, but Dev, it's easier to prevent something from happening instead of seeing down the barrel of the gun and going, "Oh."
Well, what should we do then?
Oh, we should actually
say
make
Biden don't implement Family Day. Like, I don't know what you want to do.
Well, we should just make an enormous outrage over this. Like, this should actually be a big story. He should be declared as an anti-Christian fucking president at that point. Like, they should make as much wave about it as humanly possible. And I think it's entirely fine to exaggerate this.
No, I mean, fair enough. I think Biden's already proven himself to be anti-Christian because he's way more pro-gay and trans than your average Christian is, even though he claims to be a Catholic. I mean, a lot of that could just be political expediency, though, because it's becoming more popular. So, who knows, right?
I mean, he is an old man. He has no idea what is and is not popular. This is probably his team more so than Biden.
Yeah, like I could see like Biden's great granddaughter who's like 19 coming into the room, and she like, I have something very important to tell the whole family. I'm coming out as a lesbian, guys. And like Biden is just kind of standing there smiling, like not knowing what's going on because he's only half fucking there.
Probably. I not much is going to come from this, I don't think, because it doesn't have quite the snap to it. But which we saw with the whole Bud Light controversy, right? Which started over a very minor thing, right? Because at the end of the day, putting a transgender person on a beer can for a limited promotion and have a little ad where she goes like, "Yeah, go team, go," demonstrating complete and absolute lack of knowledge or interest about anything that this brand is about, right? End of the day, that's a relatively minor thing. It's probably one out of God only knows how many hundreds, if not thousands, of promotional deals Bud Light does, right?
Yeah, I mean, I actually, when I looked into that, I discovered like Bud Light does promotional deals targeting every demographic, and they're all running at the same time in different locations on the internet, different locations on TV, whatever. Like, they're just targeting every possible demographic they can. It's actually not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I figured. But
and I know that the chat's gonna hate this, but the honest truth is like Dylan Mulvaney's biggest crime is being fucking annoying online. As far as I know, they haven't done anything like weird with kids or done anything strange. Like they just make annoying TikToks. It doesn't really matter.
But see, I have fully adopted the left-wing view on this, Dev. I have fully embraced progressivism. This
okay, what's up?
Is an expediency, Dev. That's what this is, at the end of the day. Dylan Mulvaney did this. She did it in a cringe fucking retarded way, but put it out there, and the public got on it. This then turns into a cudgel with which to beat the left. At this point, I am willing to grab any cudgel, even a weird one. And proclaiming Transgender Day of Visibility over Eastern Sunday sounds like a stick to me.
Well, I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead. I don't think I'd join in on this particular event, but you have at it.
Absolutely, because as you said, this has already happened in Canada. In other words, this is already happening. This is already on the way. We already have a demonstrable example of this. We already know this is how their ideology functions. They've told us so quite directly. And thus, if we want to prevent it, you've got to actually hit them with the things that they give you. You actually have to start at the, no, we don't allow the pride flag in the Games Workshop store. Before it gets to, oh hey, look at my rainbow army.
Actually, hold on. I just thought of the big one. I can't believe I forgot this. Okay, so you know how like right wingers in America, they always say like the left wants us to hate ourselves for being white. They want us to like self-exterminate our race, and like there's a bunch of left wingers in America who actually do want that, like the crazy black activists, but a lot of left wingers don't actually want that. They're just like, listen, we can talk about racial issues without hating white people. It's like, okay, yes, you can, obviously. However, in Canada, all right, in fucking Canada, you have the I don't know if you remember this from a couple of years ago, Arch, the whole native mass graves hoax, where all of these places were reporting that there were mass graves, and they went and investigated, and they didn't find a single fucking mass grave. What's happening now in Canada is basically because the evidence is so overwhelming against the mass grave narrative, the narrative shifted to now it's like, well, even if they're not there, we should still take this moment, rather than pointing out the fact that it's a fucking lie. We should take this moment and self-flagellate for being white and for what our ancestors did to the natives. And it's like, shut up. All right, the actual "you should hate yourself" whitey narrative is here in Canada as well.
Yeah, which is why it's going. I mean, we already know it's in America as well. In fact, we might touch upon that with the Black Girl Gamers thing a little bit later on as well.
Well, this is what I mean, though, is the difference is that I think America has more of an immune system against it, because like the American ethic is significantly more individualistic. It's significantly more rejection of authority, and it's like the American culture. Since neither of us are Americans here, so Americans in the chat, your culture is actually different from the Canadian culture, and I think you will be much more able to withstand this sort of thing than we are here.
Like this is true as well, but progressivism is a continuous gnawing cancer because they have no scruples, they have no sense of hypocrisy, they have no sense of shame. That is why they can engage in actions that they themselves decry as immoral. Looking at Wash and his fucking horse lolly porn again. And then just continue barreling on, because to them, let me reach for another Wash quote, it's not about principles, it's about winning, or something like that. And this is why you have to kind of respond in the same way. You have to go full, no, you're not allowed to do any of it. It's, can we talk about race? No, we can't talk about race. But why? Because you abused your power the first time you were allowed. Shut up. That's where we need to go to.
See, I don't know if I'm going to go that far, because there are reasonable race conversations to have, and there are unreasonable ones. Okay. And my position is always going to be, let's not have the unreasonable ones. Yeah.
What's the reasonable race conversation?
What's the reasonable race conversation? Well, I mean, we can talk about all the reasons as to why, for example, there are more black people in prison than white people. Some of that will be racism. Some of that will be the fact that they commit more crime. But there's a nuanced conversation there. It's not all going to be for the progressive point of view, but it's also not all against it.
Okay, but couldn't we just go like, there's a lot of people in jail. That's a bit weird. What are their crimes? A lot of violent stabbing and drug selling. Oh, how do we reduce those things?
Sure. But I mean, you still have to look at sociological groups when you're looking at policy.
Do we?
It is important to do that. Yes.
Have we tried not to? Perhaps we should try not to.
Well, like that's almost a utilitarian argument, right? And I'm not sure if I like it because, well, think about it here. Think about it like this, right? So let's say you have like a good policy, right? And you implement the good policy, but it has a negative externality that only affects, like, majority group X benefits and minority group Y doesn't benefit. Now, the benefit for X is way bigger than the detriment for Y. So, in a utilitarian sense, you've improved things. But then you implement, say, 10 of those policies, and it all skews the same way. Eventually, you have to ask, well, why is it that otherwise good policy seems to be disproportionately hurting one group? Some of that will be bigotry, and that should probably be fixed. But I think progressives put way too much emphasis on bigotry.
I don't know, Dev. I'm starting to think bigotry is pretty advantageous for civilized society.
Depends who you're bigoted against.
I mean, if you're telling me that this initiative benefits me 99% of the time, I don't know. Like, so let me put it like this, Dev.
On a personal, I'd agree with you personally. It's like, but like, if we're talking about policy here, though, it is different.
Well, Dev, let me just put it this way. If you put forward legislation that disproportionately disadvantaged the Sami, I see no problems with this solution whatsoever.
Is it because you just hate the Sami?
Yes, by and large.
So, I mean, okay, here. All joking aside, we both know, and we've both probably seen instances of actual racism, not made up progressive bullshit, but real racism. It's bad, and if that ever crosses over into any legal domain, it should be stopped. However, like it's one of you are partially right, because the progressives have destroyed the race conversation. So even if there is real racism that needs to be tackled, good luck doing it with the progressives in the conversation. You know what I mean? But I don't think that means that we should completely discard the concept.
I think for all intents and purposes, the concept must be discarded for the immediate time being. Now, there could be outlying cases in which it has utility, in which it has an applicability. If we apply a law, and later on we go like, damn, this only incarcerated black people, that's weird, then maybe we can look into it and go like, why is this case? But in the current context, it seems not only useless, but actively destructive to the concept of it. Because even the idea of color blindness has become racism in the current day dialogue, where this is viewed as colorblindness merely enforcing the orthodoxy that already exists, and since the orthodoxy that already exists is white, therefore bad. Even though the law as written is literally, you don't get to discriminate against anyone.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think the solution really is, hold to the color blindness, and if they call you a racist for it, just say no, like fuck you. It's one of those things where like I know I'm not a racist, so I'm not going to be told that my non-racist position is racism in the eyes of some person that I fucking look down on. All right, I'm not going to be like. Here's the thing. All right, we've talked to Sargon about this conversation a lot, where he said that socialism naturally flows from liberalism because they use the liberals' own morality to browbeat them into the socialist position. Like, I understand the argument. For me, the solution is don't let them browbeat you. When they come to you and say, well, don't you want this? No, I don't. Fuck off. Like, that's the solution. It's to say, no. I still believe in these liberal principles, but I'm not going to be bullied off of them by a subversive. And that's how I view the race conversation is, okay, I still don't like racism, but I'm not going to let you come in and tell me that my completely normal beliefs that aren't racist are suddenly racist because you got a degree at some shitty university, and now you're in some middle position of power where you can start redefining words. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not going to take that shit anymore.
And I agree in principle, but the reality is that this requires the educated electorate. This is a far more nuanced position, because that's where the whole idea of capturing the culture is so incredibly clever and so incredibly devious and devilish, in that they do, as you say, hey, wouldn't it be nice if? And only after 10 years of thinking about this and addressing all of the wouldn't it be nice ifs have we finally managed to bore down to the ideological
Heresy's the
grounding of
Fire
all
is
of
the
this.
answer.
Like, the other day, Asman Gold reacted to a video about mine about Helldivers. And he talked, he's like on the periphery of the woke things. He's beginning to understand that people are ruining stuff, right? And he asked, who even are these people? And I made a video responding to that because it's actually a really fucking complex question. Who are the woke? To actually begin explaining that, you did a video literally today on like defining wokeism, right? You've got to go back to the Second World War to begin to explain this shit.
Yep. Further back, but yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a really complex question. That is why wokeism has gotten so much power, because it's actually a fucking ingenious machinery that they've come up with. That is why I think we need to arrive at the point where we simply just say, but I'm black, no. But I'm white, no. Just shut down the conversation entirely, and then we might be able to approach it with nuance at a later date.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. I still think that there's probably space, among people who know what's going on to have the more nuanced conversations.
Sure.
That's kind of where I view my channel to be at, basically. It's like, this is where I want to have those conversations. But I understand your point of view. Yeah.
Yes. I consider myself far elevated above the plebeian masses as well.
Service guarantees citizenship.
All right. So, the next topic, which I'll just bring up on screen for now, and then we'll do some super chats first, because I'm sure people will have things to say. But I do want to talk a little bit about P. Diddy running a sex trade ring.
Oh man, I've only heard a little bit about this. I don't even know what's fucking going on with this one.
It's too funny not to bring up. But first, I'm going to go through some of the super chats. I'm sure people have input on our current discussion. Rocking 2740, Arch, would you agree that the Imperial Guard should also be 99.99% male faction in 40k? Overwhelmingly, yes. Probably more like, 98 or 97, because there is sometime expediency in throwing women at the enemy guns as well, but yes, by and large. Zonta, farmer convoy set to hit Ottawa Monday. Media blackout won't stop it. This why the truck of it hasn't come. It isn't over yet, but it will be soon. Your response, Dev?
Let's see.
I haven't heard anything
Freedom
about
convoy. This. Well, there is a media blackout. I know that some of the truckers wanted to come back because we're approaching the 2-year anniversary of the start of the protest. But okay, hold on. I found this on the Ottawa Sun. There's nothing on the farmer protests.
Yeah, I just Googled it.
Farmers
and
drive the tractors, yeah.
There is literally nothing.
I know that there's several huge farmer protests in Europe right now.
Yes,
going on.
But they too do not get a whole lot of coverage compared to their size.
Yeah, I don't see much news about it happening in Canada, though. If you have a source on that, Zontar, you can always send it to me, because I do want to look at it.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is from February and stuff last year. Or not last year, but the year before.
Yeah.
Dutch farmer protest 2022. I mean, there were massive protests in Germany as well, which didn't really do anything. Apparently, there were protests in the UK just last week from farmers. But this does not get a whole lot of coverage.
Service guarantees citizenship.
At all. I guess we'll have to wait and see on it. Marksman of 117B, Dev lives in North Korea, then they're eating dogs
Service
now.
guarantees citizenship.
They probably are. North Korea receives enormous food aid from America, by the way, in case you didn't know about that. It's mildly retarded.
It probably shouldn't.
Yeah, probably shouldn't. Alex Adamson, Dev, you know the time, you know the place. Why can you not arrive at that place at the agreed time? Are you doing this deliberately? Yeah, I kind of want to ask that too. Nightmare, congrats on having a visible girlfriend today, Dev. A visible?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I stream with Naomi all the time.
Visible? I guess it's referring to Stellar Blade, maybe?
Oh, maybe.
At hand of Lady Columbia, James Lindsay is correct in that the left is actively poking the beat, so the right reacts instinctually, not strategically. This is why Spain is far left, because Franco gave them moral weight. Well, yeah. I mean, this is actually one of the things that Sagan also goes on about quite some length, which I do agree with, that the right needs some form of more firm, positive moral foundation that is in direct opposition to the left, because liberalism does lead in the way of socialism, simply because liberalism is far too tolerant. Like, we need that... oh god, what was his name? The man with the weird name, the tolerance quote guy.
Oh, Karl Popper.
Popper, yes. We need his quote to be placed everywhere. That's what we need.
Yeah, then they're just going to say that we're not the intolerant ones. You are, though. Like, they'll just redefine it.
Yeah, but, well, they already did that, which is why we just need to bring back the original quote, because Popper was specifically talking about socialism.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. Just resurrect Karl Popper and have him explain it to them. No, I was speaking about communists.
I know when I was looking into, like, the very far right, they do not like Karl Popper at all. They say that basically, like, he was, like, a lib cuck that opened the doors, and I'm like, I don't think he was, though.
His writing was very explicitly anti-left, especially in the regards of tolerance and repressive tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Dreyfy says, Trans Day, the F, hashtag, okay, is that. Happy Easter, everyone. It's a made-up holiday, and one that hopefully will be, maybe Trump. Did Trump celebrate it? Trump should remove it.
Oh, by the way, there's actually two of them.
Of course there are.
So there's the Trans Day of Visibility, right? That's March 31st. And then there is the Trans Day of Remembrance, which is November 20th.
Of course. Why would there not be two?
And I think the whole point of the Transgender Day of Remembrance being the 20th is it's supposed to actually take away some clout from Remembrance Day. Like the actual Remembrance Day? Hold on. Yeah, November 11th is Remembrance Day in the Commonwealth. And it's basically Remembrance Day, for those, since most of you probably Americans, Remembrance Day is it's the end of the First World War, and Canada, Australia, the UK all celebrate it. I don't know if I don't think Americans celebrate it. I don't think they do. You think they would, considering the Americans fought in the First World War? You think they would? Oh well.
I don't know. Marksman of 170B says, we have food holidays. Holidays are meaningless now. Another thing that the left has taken from us. Or actually, no, we can kind of blame capitalism for this one. The corporatization of holidays was not a good thing. It was an innocent thing to begin with. It's like, okay, you don't celebrate Easter in the religious sense, here, paint some fucking eggs. But as with most things, it was eventually taken to the extreme, as the slippery slope has been proven to not be a fallacy, but rather an ironclad rule of reality.
Yeah, there's definitely a capitalist element to it, right? Where it's like, it's Christmas, of course, we'll sell you Christmas stuff. Why not? And then it turns out it becomes like an ever bigger and bigger market.
Mm-hmm. War238, I just realized those around me
Heresy's
hated
question.
this day. I
Fire
didn't
is the
realize the
answer.
implication of asking what everyone's dinner plans are tomorrow. My bad.
Really?
Boog says, that's ridiculous. It'll never happen. It happened once. It blows out of proportion by the right. It is happening, and that's a good thing. Bigot. Yeah.
That does happen. That does happen sometimes, doesn't it?
Marksman 117B, Dev here in CA, California, does land
yeah.
acknowledgement. They did one at my sister's nursing ceremony. It's happened, but only in certain states. Others are holdouts.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest. California is, of all the
Service
places
guarantees
adopting
citizenship.
like the craziest lefty shit, it's California that's doing it.
Dreyfus, suppose you could say secularize, but really I think commercialize is more accurate. Yeah, I'd agree, but it kind of leads to the same thing. Same thing happened to Christmas, Halloween, All Saints, St. Patrick, Valentine's, etc. These are all still holy feast days in Christianity. Yep. And again, see, that's the thing, because we used to have a war on Christianity and on religion. I mean, a lot of the skeptic YouTubers started out as anti-religion YouTubers, because there was absolutely a time in which the religious right was the gravest concern for liberty, right? But we had no idea what would come to replace it. That was the problem. And even then, because looking back at it, we effectively commercialized most of these things and actually managed to bring most of these religious holidays into a secular part of society, secularizing it, turning them into more regular holidays. That was probably the solution to Christian extremism. We'd probably already solved that problem, but then we kept pushing, thinking that, this will be great. Well.
Yep.
Boog says, until you're in shackles in the gulag, things are fine. That does seem to be Dev's position on a lot of things. It is disturbing.
No. You guys always say this, and it's always wrong, okay? My position is always, there's good things and bad things, and we should have the good ones and not have the bad ones.
Well, that might be Dev's primary position, but Dev's secondary position is definitely let's wait and see.
I mean, here, everyone likes gun rights. No one wants to get shot by a gun. You can have the gun rights without being shot by the gun. And the necessary slippery slope that the left says is there is not necessary. It's not built in to the relationship between those two things. You can have the gun rights and you can also not get shot. And that's how it works.
Heresy's the
Honestly,
question.
all
Fire is
slippery
the
slopes
answer.
work in this way. There is no reason that two unconnected ideas have to go from one to the other.
But what happens when your example of you can have a gun but not
Service
get
guarantees
shot?
citizenship.
You give a gun to a man who wants to shoot you.
Well, you shouldn't do that. That's why I didn't say he can have the gun.
Exactly. So what we should do is refuse progressivism at every single turn and be 100% intolerant towards it.
Well, no.
Yeah,
The
yes.
idea, the example you gave out as the man who would shoot you.
Yeah, that's the
So
progressive.
hold on. It's very clear that like some people can be trusted with guns and some people can't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so some people can be trusted with a whole bunch of other things and some people can't.
Yeah, which is why whenever we issue political office, we should ask them, are you a progressive? And if they say yes, we refuse them.
I mean, you could probably just set it up such that you have to be above average IQ to vote. That'll probably fix the problem.
Unless you're a conservative, you should just be barred from political office. Simple as.
Unless you're conservative. I thought you were going to say unless you're progressive.
Oh, barred from political office.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're a conservative, you should be barred from political office.
Unless okay. No, I thought you said conservatives have to be barred. Okay.
Well, that's the thing, because the slippery slope is an ironclad truth because we know the motivations of the people in question. That's the thing. That is the unknowable factor, right? You can say wait and see in a situation where we actually don't know the outcome, and sometimes we don't know the outcome. But If you do hand the gun to the person who is twitching and looking at you with froth foaming around his mouth, the outcome is relatively predictable.
Sure. But like the slippery slope that's always given is, legalize gay marriage, and then you go down the slope and down the slope, and at the bottom is, let us
Service
decide your
guarantees
child's gender.
citizenship.
All right. And I still maintain you can have the gay marriage without the bottom of the slope. The slippery slope, like, it exists, but you don't have to go down it. There are ways to nuance around it. It requires a different conceptualization of what's going on. So we do have to reject the progressive conceptualization of what's happening here, but we can still have some of these things.
We could have some of these things. And perhaps we can have some of these things again. After we've won. Maybe. Possibly. Conceivably. Why, Hayden says, "Hey, Larch, I hope you and family have a good Easter." We will. So John Dev, we have BLM preachers here in Ireland browbeating the Irish for not being anti-racist enough. As if there's an 800-year period of British occupation. Ireland is rather anti-colonialist.
Listen, I cannot see the Irish taking any of this shit with how nationalistic they are.
Oh, the thing is, again, because it's not presented in that way. Like, this is why you have the British Nationalist Party being a socialist party. Not British, the Scottish Nationalist Party being a socialist party.
Well, sure, but like, here, let me put it this way. If black people can immigrate to Ireland and become Irish, then why can't British people immigrate to Ireland and become Irish?
That would be an interesting
They
question
would not
to
fucking
ask
stand
every
for that.
Irish person, I guess.
Because they would not fucking stand that shit. They would not accept it for 1 second.
The answer is one is white, the other is not. That is the answer. And then you need to dig down into that answer to explain to the Irish person why he's being retarded. Because the majority of people don't actually have any fundament in philosophy, they simply have a fundament in this is what I have been told. Max Merhamson B. Dev, you're right in that the whole of the US has not followed Canada, but on a state level, some have. Others said no, and rest can go either way. Long march through the institutions.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's also states' rights, though, I guess, which Americans seem to love quite a bit. Some states want to be very far left and some want to be very far right, that your system is set up for that sort of decentralization. So just, if you don't want to live in a left-wing state, don't live in a left-wing state. Move to Texas or something.
Speaking of Dev, how many slaves did the Emancipation Proclamation free?
I don't know, Arch. Tell me about it.
0.
Really?
Yes. You know why?
Why?
Because it only affected the states over which the federal government had no power.
I have to look into that.
Service guarantees citizenship.
I know, I'm 100% right on that. I want to have the Confederacy debate with you at some point.
The Emancipation Proclamation,
Heresy's
Proclamation
the
95.
question.
Proclamation had
Fire
the
is
effect
the
of
answer.
changing the legal status of more than 3.5 million enslaved African Americans in the secessionist Confederate States from enslaved to free.
Yep.
And as soon as they escaped the control of their enslavers and fled to the Union, they were permanently free.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Right. So I did look into your claim that Lincoln didn't free the slaves in the North with this proclamation. They'd been freed before, though.
Heresy
That's
is the
point.
question. Fire is the answer.
Not quite.
I mean, this was January 1st, 1863. I think by 1860 the Northern slaves were freed.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Let's see.
We can look it up right now if you want. Just give me a second. I'll take a look. Hold on.
Let's see.
Wait. By 1804, all northern states had voted to abolish the institution of slavery within their borders. That's like 60 years before the Civil War.
And who did that again?
That would have been who was that? I don't know. Whoever was president in 1804. It was clearly before Lincoln.
Well, not the president. No, you said the answer there, Dev.
Oh, okay, what do you mean?
States.
Yes.
Yes, the states. The states voted, as the states had the power to do, to abolish slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know what's not fine?
What?
Forcing the other states to do the same with federal power.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Nope. Ending slavery is a moral good, Arch.
Ending slavery at the cost of the independent governance of those who have only agreed to be governed centrally by consent is a moral ill.
Nope.
Because by doing so, you are enslaving them too.
Nope.
Yep, you are. You are enforcing your will onto them.
Listen. It's the same with the British enforcing their will onto Africa and stopping that slave trade. That was also good. Listen, it is morally good to enforce your will upon slavers to make them stop being slavers. I will plant my flag on that position and not move from it.
The African countries had not agreed to British rule. That was simply a move unilaterally of British force. And you know what? Yes, enforcing your will upon other foreign nations with violence is good. Enforcing your will upon your own nation with violence is bad.
Not if it's ending slavery.
Nope.
No, it's good. It was good to do.
And Dev is wrong on this one too.
Nope. Here, listen. If it turns out that the Civil War was actually a states' rights issue, then it was good and based and moral to violate the rights of the southern states.
Dev comes out vehemently in favor of tyranny.
Tyranny against slavers, yes.
Yep. Tyranny is tyranny, Dev.
Yep.
This is why we cannot allow the progressives to ever become in power. They are inherently tyrannical, willing to overlook previous agreements between nations for their own moral compasses. We must reject them. At every turn, chat. Every turn. Sujad says transphobia is a moral good, Dev.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, but why not, Dev?
Depends what you mean by transphobia.
I mean, it's his moral judgment, isn't it? Why should he not enforce it upon you?
Depends what you mean by transphobia, I guess.
But
I mean,
Dev.
this is kind of like the 15-minute city conversation we had, where it's like within that package, there's clearly some good things. It depends what you're talking about. And I'll take the good things. I'll reject the bad things.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, that just makes a might makes right argument.
Sure.
So transphobia is a moral good.
Nah, I don't think so.
If there are more people that agree with him than agree with you, Dev.
Here's
I think
the thing,
you
right?
recently argued that he should be able to use the state's powers against you.
The thing about the thing that I think progressives don't recognize, even liberals don't recognize it, and they should, is that all arguments at the end of the day, there's always going to be a might makes right component, because you cannot do what is right without having might on your side. So, like, if you are morally correct and weak, it doesn't matter that you're morally correct. You also have to be strong.
Deviant power politics.
Yeah. It's listen, chat here. I'll give you my most based neo-reactionary right-wing take, okay? All politics is about power. All of it. It is about how you gain power and about how you keep power.
But then
Now, morality comes in when you use power. And sometimes you can use power so poorly that you lose it.
Heresy's the question.
So you have to balance
the answer.
there's a delicate balance between doing what is morally correct and being able to hold on to power so that you may in the future also do what is morally correct. And those are two competing interests that need to be balanced out. And by the way, you can scream and cry about how terrible of a person I am for saying this, but it is the objective truth. Because, you know, this is not like people are saying, mask off. Oh, my God, the whore. Oh. It's like, no, this is true. This is how it is. I'm not saying this is good. I'm saying this is what it is. All right. You can't sit here and be, morally righteous and have absolutely no power behind you and think you're going to win anything, because you will get stomped over by an opposing force. That's why anarchists are retarded, and they're always retarded.
And see, this is just me baiting Dev into saying things. Because I'm sitting here with a nice big smile on my face. Because yes, no, you are right. You are actually correct. This is the reality of all human interactions. Whoever has the largest stick is the one who determines things. But that is also why, of course, slavery would have been made a moral good had the Confederacy managed to win. And our moral positions are made up by history. And we can also see from history, and here's the thing too, I would say that the violation of states' rights was a larger crime than slavery at the end of the day, because it led us to the United States of America being not a confederacy, but rather a federal government in style, which led to all of the problems of the modern day world. Whereas I would have loved to see what an actual confederation in America would have done. Because I can trace nearly all of the ills of modern-day US back to the abandonment of the various gentlemanly rules of the Republic era.
I honestly don't think that those rules would have survived if there had been a long-standing culture of slavery, though. I mean, I did at one point, I forget the name of the book, but it was a book basically about what the Confederates wanted had they won the war. They wanted to basically expand southward, and there would be basically a nation that encompassed the Gulf of Mexico, where the north of South America, the south of North America, Central America, and then the various Caribbean islands would all be just one slave nation that they, in their various earliest plans, they called it the Golden Circle, and that was their initial plan. And then basically, like, the northern states would just be another country, or they'd join Canada or something. They didn't really care what happened in the north. But no, they had long-term plans to basically have a slaver empire, and I don't think that would have been a good thing.
Well, they probably would have expanded south, yes, but slavery would also have eventually have been abolished, since that was the position of even the majority of the Southerners, who viewed slavery as a moral good and the white man's burden, etc. I think Robert E. Lee said it best, in that slavery is immoral, but it is the best way for us to teach them the lessons of civilization. Because the South wasn't necessarily pro-slavery in the same way of it being moral. They were pro-slavery as in, this is kind of the fundament of our, civilization and industry. And as the Industrial Revolution would begin to spread, I think that slaves would have been replaced in exactly the same way the slaves were replaced in Britain.
I'm not sure.
I am.
In fact, you know what? I'm actually quite certain that it wouldn't have been replaced for a very long time.
A long time, sure. But even then, by a very long time, I think 100 years, tops.
So another thing that I learned while, as a Mexican, the Golden Circle sounds amazing, says Boog.
Yeah, I imagine
so another thing that I learned is that a lot of the Central America, the products that were grown in Central American plantations were so labor intensive, but also they had a weird amount of demand where you couldn't sell them for too much money, but also it cost a fair amount to create them. So basically, until we had modern farm equipment in the past 50, 60, 70 years, it was not affordable to create these products without slavery. So I do think that if this had gone through, you would have basically an ongoing culture of slavery until probably the mid-20th century. And I don't think that that's good.
20th century, possibly. Bearing in mind the enormous demand for cotton, for example. Like, the first tractors were created in 1890, roundabout, I think, if memory serves. So we would probably have seen the large-scale industrialization of these farms within 20, 30 years of the introduction of the tractor. So probably 1920, 30 odd. The South would have been at the point of abolishing slavery. And probably it would have happened earlier, depending upon Great Britain. because as you said, the reason why we don't have slavery in the West is largely the British Empire. The British Empire was actually on the side of the southern slave states, in part because they saw the obvious hypocrisy of the federal government, and in part because they needed cotton. Cotton was unfathomably valuable at the time.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you mean, but I still think ultimately, despite all of these various motivations and what ifs, ending slavery was good.
There was also the fact
that the Americans did it.
That it might have ended earlier,
Heresy's the
depending upon the
question.
introduction of
Fire is the
synthetic
answer.
fibers, because one of the main reasons why we started moving away from cotton, of course, was because we found other alternatives.
And nonetheless, ending slavery was good.
Nope.
Yep.
Less good than
Service
trampling states'
guarantees
rights.
citizenship.
I don't know about that.
Miru409, Dylan targets kids with trans ideology. Yeah, I would agree. But not in a beer ad, because beer advertisements are not targeting children. Dryfee, not just holidays, Dev, look at the anthem and our political overlords wanting to remove God from it. Most people I know, even the most secular, still think God keep our land. The general public, I don't think, care for this.
Service guarantees citizenship.
I'm not sure that there's appetite in the United States to take God out of the
Appetite
American
is
anthem.
just a question of time.
But oh, by the way, there is appetite in Canada for that because I think they've already done it.
Of course
Like I said, everything fucking happens here.
Read Fox Media, howdy boys, it's raining all week. No garden for me. That is a tragedy. Thomas Hoser, and ironically, the answer to all progressivism should be the citizenry shall act like part of the dominant society or they shall be punished. Yes. The enforcement of the majority upon the minority. It's not a liberal
you know what
thing,
happened?
but it's a good thing.
God is probably going to happen in the near future, but they made "O Canada" the anthem. They made it gender neutral.
Of course they did. Why wouldn't they?
Of course they did.
Attentive Lady Columbia, oh deep in bigot, you're fertilizing brown womb eggs. Sounds based to me, honestly. Brown women are pretty cool. Okay? And imagine, this is the bleaching process. Bleaching is the way, chat. Bleaching. Mercenaries21. Tatted by Janine in the Haida Guailis is more believable than Dev. He crossed the dumb line too many times over government and
Heresy's the
judicial
question.
corruption.
Fire is the answer.
What?
Dev, you're less reliable than tarot reading.
Oh well.
Attentive Lady Columbia, 10 to 20 years. That took commies
Heresy's the
70
question.
years. Oh, wow.
Fire is the answer.
By hitting the left are like chaos cultists. Correct. That is an apt description. A guy under a bridge. If you hadn't shot Harambe and let Anita and Quinn into the UN, we would have had the Martian Federation by now.
Fire
And
is
some
the
good
answer.
shows and movies to boot. Absolutely. Shooting Harambe in particular was the biggest mistake. RT Gaming 1060. Love your content. Want more Drukhari lore? Incubi. I'll think about it. Alex Anderson, that wasn't rhetorical. I want an answer, Dev. As to what? Alex Anderson. Did I have a... yes, Dev. You know the time, you know the place. Why can you not arrive at that place at the agreed time? Are you doing this deliberately?
Listen, it was Archer's fault this time. He streamed to the wrong location.
And you wonder why I build these narratives about you, Dev. RT Gaming 1060, don't take away my Drukhari witches. I'm sorry, they're gonna have to go away. Or be men. Contour Dim, Chairbreaker. That is actually a kind of nice nickname. Always being late and leaving early is more proof of your leftist leanings. It's true! Okay, no, actually, it is, okay? Because you even did a video on the tyranny of the bedtime, you know? Having a fixed plan and agenda and stuff is bad. Like, it's structural. You're left-wing, Dev.
Maybe. I mean, I did stay for the entire time last time.
You did. Did you?
And also, when I do leave, it's usually at a set time. I'm like, listen, Arch, I can't go past 7, and then off I go at 7. That's a set time.
Often you go at like 7:20 still, but... Nightmare, Transgender Day of Visibility, Visible GF. That's why, Dev.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Nine McWorks, threatening to crump yourself if you don't get your way is emotional manipulation. Simple as. By and large, yes.
Yeah, that's in reference to, should we help trans people because they have a high suicide rate? And like I understand the point of view, right? So it's like the argument is the pro-trans argument is we need to respect trans identities. Why? Well, because they have a high suicidality, and part of the suicidality comes from basically not being accepted in society, and dysphoria is also increased by being told you're a man when it's like okay, I get it. I understand their logic. Okay, and now the let's
Service
say the
guarantees
negative
citizenship.
interpretation of that is holding yourself hostage for political rights, which sounds pretty scummy, and it does sound pretty scummy. Um, I think the issue with that interpretation is that it doesn't really track when you attach it to other identities. So, for example, we know that veterans have a higher than average suicide rate, right? And we still have political activist movements for veterans' rights, and we should have those movements. And part of the reason that we have them is because we don't want them to actually kill themselves at massively high rates. So, I understand the point, but I don't agree with the point. I think if you have a demographic that is committing suicide, you know what? Just regular men commit suicide like crazy right now. Okay. If you have a demographic that kills itself at a higher than average rate, you should probably pay attention to that. Like, and I don't think it's holding yourself hostage to care about that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Harmonic Drive been banned from woke servers complaining about wokeness. At least I can't get banned anymore. Somebody wondered how Robert Bosch could build an empire. He had standards and principles, like Germany. Germany did build a pretty large empire, it's true. Finn Ken, member for 7 months. Thank you very much. Time for everyone to celebrate Easter even harder. Happy Easter, everyone. If you are a Christian, go to church and visit Call Family. And then it scrolls. But it was something mean about Dev, I think.
Yeah, probably. Actually, I'm going to go to the washroom. I'll be right back.
All right. And yes, it was. Dev is a communist. I figured it would be something mean about Dev. Dev does deserve a lot of mean words. Boog, gulags have good things, shelter and sometimes food. True. And give LGBT this one thing. They have a whole month. Put them in gulag for a day. All right. In the meantime, before we spend
Service
too much
guarantees
time on it,
citizenship.
I do want to get on to the P. Diddy thing. Actually, whilst Dev is, washroom, water closet is a better description for Dev's toilet, I think. Yes, I like that word.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Actually, we can have another small funny topic in between. Lizzo is tired of being dragged by everyone, and Lizzo is quitting. Applause, chat. Applause. This is an example of that if you yell at something for long enough, eventually you will make that something go away. Imagine that. Normally, I wouldn't necessarily be in favor of large-scale bullying tactics applied en masse, but, sometimes I suppose it is difficult to argue with the results. And this is also a wonderful example, chat, that the mind can move mountains. In this case, Lizzo is the mountain. And the people, primarily on the left, dragging her is the minds. It could not have happened to a finer musical talent, of course, and I am sure we all feel deeply, deeply disturbed by this tragic loss to modern-day culture, that we will never see Lizzo's enormous ass shaking on stage anymore, whilst playing a literally, I believe, priceless historic artifact. What will America do now that they have been deprived of Lizzo, the foremost artist of the era? Perhaps Dev plays the flute. We'll have to ask him when he comes back. Oh, God. I wonder, did they say anything new here? Is it just the, There we go. I'm getting tired of putting up with being dragged by everyone in my life, and on the internet. Well, Jesus, in my life. And I want to make his music to make people happy and help the world be a little better than how I found it. But I'm starting to feel like the world doesn't want me in it. I'm constantly up against lies, being told about me for clout and views, being the butt of the joke every single time because of how I look. My character being picked up by people who don't know me and disrespect my name. I didn't sign up for this shit. I quit.
So, as it turns out, Arch, this is not the reason why Lizzo is quitting.
Oh.
You didn't know that? Do you know the Lizzo story? Aside from her being fat and having the flute?
No, this isn't the part of the quitting, yes, but she is quitting, as far as I can see from the statement. But no, she has a whole host of legal issues as well, including apparently forcing her stage dancers to shove items up their vajayjays.
Yep, I just linked it in the link channel. So she claims to be quitting. Lizzo claims to be leaving the business because she's getting dragged by everyone. She doesn't want to be called fat anymore. Blah 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 blah. But there's actually a shit ton of allegations against her.
Yep.
And these aren't just like, oh, posted on social media. I think these are like actually going to court allegations.
Yes, they are legal allegations. It's not some woman saying he touched me on Twitter. It's legal stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. The plaintiffs have accused Lizzo of assault, disability discrimination. Oh, you made that your own fucking bed. And sexual harassment in the lawsuit as seen by The Independent.
Yes, here we go. It is claimed that Lizzo began inviting cast members to take turns touching the nude performers, catching dildos launched from the performers' vaginas, and eating bananas protruding from the performers' vaginas during a visit to a strip club in Amsterdam. She also pressured one of them to touch the breast of one of the other ones by leading a chant goading her.
Yep. So this is her backup dancers, by the way. That was the people making the allegations, as you remember. Where she has backup dancers, she brought them to a strip club in Amsterdam and made them partake in all manners of dubious morals actions.
Yeah, Lizzo allegedly badgered a member of her security team to get on stage where his pants were pulled down. Plaintiffs were aghast with how little regard Lizzo showed for the bodily autonomy of her employees and those around her, especially in the presence of many people whom she employed.
Yep. It is alleged the dancers underwent a brutal re-audition after Lizzo became convinced the cast had been drinking before shows, citing their poor performances. Basically, all of this boils down to Lizzo was a terrible fucking boss.
Yeah, so listen, if any of these lefties had any sort of spine, any sort of conviction, any sort of actual morals, they would start pulling out the communist analysis on Lizzo, right? Because she is the employer. She is the one who holds all the institutional power over these people, and she's not only exploiting them, like in terms of the employer-employee relationship, she's sexually exploiting them. And not a single peep from anyone on the left about this.
Yep. Well, actually, I will disagree with that. There has been not a massive amount, but there's been quite a few leftists on their side who have actually picked on Lizzo as an easy target. And to be fair, she's been targeted by everyone because she is an easy target. She's difficult to miss, Deb.
I knew you were going there. I could tell.
I didn't want to disappoint you. Because all of the things she's talking about too, like the whole going to a strip club in Amsterdam, this is very much so sex positive leftism as well. You know, Hassan Pikey got caught out for this too because he partied at a whorehouse that had apparently had sex trafficking charges levied against it. Good choice, I guess.
Yep, it was Hassan went to a German brothel that had underage sex trafficking victims from the Middle East or from Asia or something.
Why the
fuck
was in Germany? Because all of this, like the strippers, the eating fucking bananas out of people's anuses, etc., this is very leftist sex positivistic nonsense. But it's also obviously exceptionally uncomfortable for people. Weirdly enough.
Yep.
And her employees were not as progressive as she was. Unfortunate.
But they just didn't want to fuck her.
Alternatively, I mean, that would be a workout. I don't know. Oh,
Yeah, I got to look into the sex positivity movement at some point, because there's very clearly like a very thin line between sex positivity and exploitation.
Yes, and it's primarily based on what is politically expedient at the time, because, I mean, the entire thing of feminism back in the day was the free nipple stuff. The idea that women should be allowed to walk outside being enormous fucking sluts with no societal consequences whatsoever. And now we have returned to prudism again, where you can't show nipples or anything, because they realize, oh, hey, topless women marching in protest, the men might like this. It's a very thin line, because it is first and foremost a political tool rather than anything else.
Heresy's the question.
Yep.
Fire is the answer.
Though I would also recommend that if you are Hassan Piker, you should at least, ethics check the brothel before you visit it, just real quick. Or simply keep quiet about it, I guess, but
fire is the answer.
I suppose that was a virtue signal as much as anything. But yes, the music scene will certainly be significantly lessened by Lizzo's departure. If not in talent, then certainly in volume.
So, you wanted to talk about P. Diddy as well. Now,
Yes.
This is a story that I actually know nothing about. You got to fill me in on this one. I'm completely ignorant of this one.
Let's continue on the music business. We are a rap/music channel now, because, that's where the money lies, it turns out.
Okay.
So, at the moment, I will start by clarifying that these are all allegations at the moment. I don't even think there's been like a court case put forward against him. They are like in discovery stage where the police rummage through your shit and see what they can charge you with, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what was it here? Here we go. The domicile was raided, so his house, one of his houses, was raided
Heresy's
on the
question. Fire is the
25th.
answer.
Properties Types Los Angeles by the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, using a Southern District of New York search warrant related to an unspecific ongoing investigation. And I haven't been able to find anything more specific around it, but the allegations that have come out, not officially, I believe, is that it has to do with assault, which, rapper, fair enough, and more spicily, sexual abuse and human trafficking. Usually in combination there.
So, why? Why of all people P. Diddy?
That's that's the question, isn't it?
I mean, surely he has more than enough money. He
You'd
doesn't need
think.
to start trafficking people.
Let me actually Google P. Diddy net worth. Okay, so according to just like the quickest of Google searches, P. Diddy's net worth is $800 million. So shy of $1 billion, basically. That's a fair bit of cash. Now, to be fair, the $800 million could be, tied up in a lot of stuff, like cars, houses, properties, etc. Just because somebody is worth $800 million doesn't mean that they've got $800 million in their bank account, rape allegations. Oh, yeah, that was last year, November 2023. Yeah. But... oh, Jesus, that's one fuck of a house. Yeah, here. Let's, I'll show you
a crazy house?
Yeah, that house right there. I mean, 11 bathrooms, a 35-seat movie theater, steam room, massage room, beauty salon, and a wine room. Not far from the Playboy Mansion.
It is a nice house.
Real estate record shows they've taken out 25.35 million worth of mortgages over 2 transactions, 2014 and 2021, on the home. Both mortgages are held by the Bank of America. $39 million. So, probably then, he also bought a mansion on the outskirts of Atlanta, another house for $14.5 million mortgage. So he has a fair bit of mortgages, actually. So this seems to presume, then again, that a lot of his money is probably tied up in stuff. Either in actual stuff, like cars, houses, etc., or in investment, or in companies. I would presume.
Okay, now I know why I've heard this before. Yeah, because Prince Harry was named in the lawsuit.
Oh, yes, I did see that too.
Now, I think it turns out that he's just incidentally named. Like, he was at some of the parties where stuff was going down. He didn't actually do anything.
Well, we'll see.
I remember this taking off. Now, to be fair, royals from every country have a tendency, I think with the exception of Japan, have a tendency to come to America and party it up, you know?
Yeah.
Just what they do.
There's no suggestion of any wrongdoing by the prince, says the article. So yeah, he probably was just there at the house at some point or something. But the thing is, these people do blow a fantastical quantity of cash. Like, I'm sure you've heard of the people winning, like, Powerball lotteries of hundreds of $1 million, being broke, like, 2 years later.
Yep.
Just because you have $800 million doesn't mean you can't get nice and deep into debt.
Well, I think what happens is, from what I understand, people who have this massive amount of money, sometimes it's financial illiteracy, right? Like they have no idea what to do with it. They just blow it all on nonsense. But a lot of the time, and actually it's multiple factors at once. A lot of the time is they, old friends come out of the woodwork and ask them for money, and well, we were friends, of course, or oh, of course I'll help you out, or man, I always wanted you to like me back in school, and now you do. I can be the popular kid that I wasn't before, So they start giving money, and then some of it is actually like legitimately wanting to help people, right? Like you do want to buy your parents nice stuff because they haven't had nice stuff. So I think a lot of factors come together where it's like ignorance and wanting to be the center of attention and just not knowing, like, and genuinely wanting to help people. They all come together, and people just end up blowing all their money because as soon as you like get accustomed to spending that much, it is hard to stop. It's really hard to like get yourself out of that mindset once you're in it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like when you get used to buying tens of $1 million homes, etc., and you get used to eating caviar out of strippers' buttholes and so on, your standard of living rises somewhat, and your costs do as well.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, though, okay, so you're P. Diddy, right? You're massively rich. You've fucked Jennifer Lopez, etc., and you're a bit down on your luck. Like, how do you go from that to somebody approaching you, going like, "Hey, I've got a smuggling connect in Africa. Should we start sex trafficking people?"
I mean, if you're really down on your luck, you gotta do what you gotta do.
But how is that connect even made? Like, how the fuck? I mean, we hear all the rumors about how terrible Hollywood is, right? And my God, like, because that's a whole operation. Like, smuggling people isn't something you do just on a fucking whim.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
There was also, I haven't been able to figure out, there's been a lot of rumors going around this. So I think this is the most, accurate one. This one says that Sean Combs, P. Diddy, remains in the US amid widening sex trafficking probe, sources says. So there was the rumor that his private jet had left for some Caribbean island. I don't think that was true, but it's kind of difficult to figure out exactly what's happening here, because this is an enormous thing, and it's being covered by not just people online, but every single newspaper is running like 17 articles on this right now.
Let's see.
Let's see, indeed.
Heresy
He was
is the
scheduled
question.
on Monday
Fire
to
is the
depart by
answer.
plane for a spring break vacation with his school-age daughters. He still has his passport.
Yep, let's see. Jet landed in the Caribbean island of Antigua, but that is a day older than the article claiming that he's still in the U.S.
This is probably one of those developing stories that you won't know the truth of for a while, you know?
Yep. Let's see, just Google. Where is P. Diddy? Everything we know about the whereabouts of P. Diddy.
He's just gone. He's vanished, guys.
There's no credible... Okay, so this one alleges that he did not arrive on the flight to Antigua. So the idea that he is in Antigua is apparently been debunked, as far as I can tell. Debunked.
Well, that's good at least.
So he's presumably still in the US. Presumably. But I also want to say this, right? Because maybe this is all bullshit. Entirely possible. You know, he's a very rich man who's had a lot of relationships. He's been accused of a lot of things. Maybe this is just one of those. Like, a woman went to the police and like, P. Diddy, he brought me in a box from Colombia or whatever, right? Maybe. Yep. But by and large, the Department of Homeland Security do not raid your house without some sort of inkling that they've got something on you, you know?
Oh, no, I completely agree with you, yeah. That is... The feds aren't that incompetent, okay, guys? They do, in fact, know what they're doing sometimes.
Yes, and it wasn't like a... It wasn't like a small raid either. Okay, yeah, here we go. So some pictures from in this article. Like, dozens and dozens of agents. Armed, obviously, because it's the US. Some of them wearing masks, which is suggesting, like, SWAT or some other special team like that.
Yeah.
Like, a half dozen big black federal trucks, etc. Yeah, like, this wasn't a police officer knocking on his door going like, so, Mr. Combs, we got some questions for you.
Heresy's the question.
The
answer.
This, I gotta think about this for a minute.
They did also...
It almost feels like the Mar-a-Lago raid, where it just kind of comes out of nowhere and like everyone is there and they're clearly looking for something, but we don't quite know where it's going yet, and we'll find out in like a few months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It might be. They did arrest, I think, 2 associates of his.
Oh. What were the charges?
Well, the same as P. Diddy, so human trafficking and stuff like that, and sexual...
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
Sexual misconduct. 2, or is it 3? 3, I think. I'm finding a bit of opposing ideas here. But yeah, I mean, this is some heavy-duty deployment shit going on here. And again, with Trump, I can kind of believe it, because he's an enormously important political individual, and they're looking into him, and he's being looked into by, God only fucking knows how many political cases and investigations, everything from fraud to, what was the bank loan nonsense, etc.
Yep.
Heresy is the
There's a
question.
whole bunch of
Fire is
cases
the answer.
regarding him.
But
There's the documents case. There's the Eastman memo case. There's the fraud with the building valuation. There's the stuff regarding the hooker. Was it the porn star? Sorry, and how she was paid. Like there's so many fucking cases right now.
And I found another picture here too, where you actually see like the full fucking SWAT assault motherfuckers in body armor and assault rifles. So yeah, they were taking this shit very seriously.
Yeah, man. I wonder what they were expecting to find with that kind of firepower.
I don't know. Like, okay, he has been involved in like alleged shooting incidents before, so. And he's a rich rapper. They probably assume he has guns, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, look at those motherfuckers. Like, full army gear. Like, surely that isn't the first response, right?
It seems to be the first response.
Like, at that point, they must suspect something really fucking serious. I would think. I don't know. Maybe this is just how America works. The fucking SWAT team arrives first with assault rifles.
The SWAT team arrives and it's like, we're just here. We're just here to say hello. It's not a big deal.
Yep. And to be fair, this is also a tactic that the police can use. You know, if they think that there's somebody who's a gun, they might just go full force and deploy everything basically to intimidate the guy into not doing anything dumb. Entirely understandable.
Yep.
But again, I somehow doubt they'd deploy the fucking Sturmtruppen if there wasn't some serious allegations. Oh, that's a good point, chat. What's his skin color?
See, even chat, you agree with me regarding racism. You know what?
There's
you
the
guys know the
explanation.
score.
Why did the DHS deploy the fucking assault dudes to Diddy's home? Well, he is
Service
black, isn't he?
citizenship.
I mean, that's true, Chan. That's true. That's a good point.
Heresy is the question.
Oh, Jesus.
Fire is the answer.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. He could be innocent of all charges, as far as I know.
Yep, it's one of those. You know what it is? Like a raid on a high-profile figure is always going to be dramatic and make headlines, but you never know if it's true or not. You always have to wait to see what comes out. Which, by the way, is what I say about all these things, even though everyone thinks that I'm just like ridiculous. But that's another story.
I did find one thing that I
Okay.
do also need to bring up.
Let's see it. Oh no! The P Diddy's dildos. Dildos, guys.
I'm hoping and presuming this is some kind of joke skit, but
Diddy's mansion raid reveals trove of adult toys and gay porn. This got to be a joke.
That's got to be a joke.
Hold on.
Surely.
Wait a second.
Yeah, like the entire thing is just like a series of like tags. Tag.
Yeah, this seems like one of those like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This seems like just bullshit to me, but it might be funny bullshit, so you know, there's that. Also, I'm pretty sure there's an AI generated image of P. Diddy there too.
Mm-hmm.
But still, funny, if nothing else.
Yeah, would P. Diddy buy my horse dildo?
Well, the leading bid right now is $20 per 20 bucks, not even bucks, 20 pesos plus transportation from Boog. Nobody's seen fit to contest that yet. Hiccups.
And then maybe it'll work out.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Right. Now, where did I put the actually important topic of the day? It's a good question. I need a fourth monitor, is what I've come to the realization of.
Oh man, I've got 4 and it's so nice.
I need a fourth just hanging above me, somewhere I can like put stuff. But I feel like the moment I get a third monitor, I'm just going to be like, I need a fifth monitor.
Okay, you know what I've actually found? It's quite hard to get 5 going. Like, a regular graphics card won't do it. You need some kind of special something or other
Yeah.
to get a 5th monitor going. I think it's some like hard limit on most cards that they won't do more than 4.
So, main topic, Phil Spencer on what the hell is happening in the game industry. Have you seen this?
I have seen this.
This has kind of done what you claim, right? That the right takes something and runs with it. Because the narrative that came around this was that he claims that all of the failures of the game industry came from capitalism, basically. From the quote of, where was it? I don't get any luxury of not having to run a profitable, growing business inside of Microsoft. Which, don't get me wrong, is a fucking daft thing to say. It's like, oh no, I don't have the luxury of just using up an infinite amount of money for no fucking reason.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I kind of understand the complaint, because there's definitely a adversarial relationship between the need to make money and the need to create, let's say, a good artistic product, and those two things don't always align. So I understand what he's saying.
Yes. But I think the main issue here is the error of focus, maybe, of goals. Because he goes on to say, you mentioned it, and in sitting here at GDC, I reflect on friends of mine in the industry that have been displaced and lost their jobs, and how just I don't want this industry to be a place where people can't with confidence build a career. So this comes, of course, after Microsoft lays off almost 2,000 Activision Blizzard employees, and some Xbox employees as well, because, of course, there was a lot of overlap between the two companies. They had a lot of similar community management roles, similar Q&A roles, similar development roles, etc., right?
Yeah.
Because every time I see the layoffs brought up, they're always complaining that, we're not growing enough, we're not selling enough, no, we're laying people off, it's terrible. This kind of is the problem here, though. It isn't that the industry isn't growing, because there is no such thing as infinite growth. Like, it can't happen. You can't expect the gaming industry, that is already the largest gaming industry, to just keep exploding ad infinitum. But they've kind of placed themselves in a position where it has to, and it's because of how bloated the companies have gotten. Like, they fired 2,000 people. Fucking hell, how large are these companies? Where 2,000 people layoffs is like, oh yeah, we fired like 2% of our workforce. Like, holy shit. To make video games? God, I remember the time when a video game was created by like 6 dudes in a fucking basement.
So, Arch, how commie do you want me to get with this?
Let me see. How many superchats have we earned today? Yeah, we're a bit away from the quota, Dev. Go full communist. Come on. Rile them up.
So Marx called this the tendency of profit to fall over time. Okay? And this is and Marx basically made the same argument that you made, is that the core flaw of capitalism, and the reason that capitalism will ultimately fail, is because it demands eternal growth. So let's see. So I can find it. The tendency of the tendency of the rate of profit to fall is a theory in the crisis theory of political economy, according to which the rate of profit, the ratio of profit to the amount of invested capital, decreases over time. This was first brought up in Karl Marx, chapter 13 of Capital, volume 3. Welcome to the Communist Manifesto, guys. We're going full commie today. So basically, there's some actual meat on the bone here. It's not all just nonsense. The basic idea is that as a company as a company grows and new opportunities are exploited, there's less new opportunities available in the future, right? Because you eventually hit a point where you can't really grow anymore. And then at that point, once you've hit maximum growth, the only way to keep getting more profit is to start squeezing, either to start lowering the quality of the product or to start squeezing your workers more, right? And Marx thought that this would be the main thing that brings about the workers' revolt. The issue is that it's not necessarily true, but it is true in companies that are poorly managed, which Microsoft is certainly one of those.
Well, even a broken clock is right twice a day, and even Marx did make some points, because yes, it absolutely is a problem that capitalism does in large part demand eternal growth, right? Now, one of the ways we get around this is, of course, innovation and new markets. We come up with new products, which then create a new demand, and then that market can grow. Video games was actually an example of this, as, of course, in Marx's time, the market of video games did not exist, right? Hell,
Yes.
what we're doing right now is a new market, and so on. But it is also true that as one of these things grows larger and larger and larger, there are a lot of challenges within capitalism against it. We have some attempted solutions against it. For example, the idea of anti-monopoly action. That was, of course, done against the steel and coal bans, basically saying you have too much power, we gotta break you up. The problem is we didn't do that with the tech giants. And so now a lot of our entertainment sector is owned by like 3 or 4 companies, which hoard all of the power and amass it. And that's why when something like ESG comes along, they manage trillions of dollars, and they can just form reality to their fucking wishes. And this is something that our regulation were actually designed to prevent, but they were simply not applied effectively to do so. Because, well, what are you going to do when the $1 trillion corporation goes, can we just do this?
Yeah. I mean, the governments did like slowly dismantle their own regulations over time.
Yep, in favor of enormous capital, and that is because, of course, in the US in particular, well, you've got legalized bribery, which is a very, very, very big problem, mind you. So he absolutely has a point, but the problem is we have moved the focus away from earning money and onto simply employing as many human beings as fucking possible. See, because making money within video gaming is a pretty binary thing. Make good game, make bad game. Like, those are about the 2 outcomes. And of course, you've got some variety in the middle of mediocre games, etc. But if you make good product, you sell good product. And so you get money to finance next product. And so long as you can keep up making good product, your business keeps going. The problem becomes when the structure grows so large that making bad product doesn't stop it. And that's where the ESG fund comes in, where it becomes simply easier to get more money by doing that. And then you get the bloated corporate structure, because one person goes like, oh, hey, it's really great working here. Come on, buddy, come on in. We've got fantastic benefits, blah, blah, blah. And it just grows larger and larger and larger. And we've also got the popularity problem. In that entire generations of people were like, I want to be a video game developer. And now we have companies of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people spending millions upon millions upon millions of dollars on making video games in a market that can no longer support it. Go on, Dev.
And making worse games, too. So there was a Japanese economist named, I'm trying to pronounce his name, Nobuo Okishio, all right? And he basically argued that technological advancement is the bulwark in a more general sense, not in terms of this one industry, but in across the economy. Technological advancement is the bulwark against the tendency of the rate of profit to fall, because as you when you the example I always use for this is a 30-inch TV in 1990 cost $10,000 and a 60-inch TV in 2024 costs $500, right? And what's the reason for that? It's a better product and it costs way less. The answer is technological advancement, right? So basically, as technology makes manufacturing costs cheaper and cheaper and cheaper over time, and also creates new markets where new types of products can be created that didn't exist before, like video games and like YouTubers, like you mentioned, Arch. This basically acts as
Service guarantees
a
citizenship.
counterbalance to the tendency of the rate of profit to fall. And like paradoxically, once you have the stagnation of a communist system, like in the Soviet Union, where there's no longer any technological innovation, that's when the tendency of the rate of profit to fall actually destroys the economy, because you don't have that counterbalance, but you don't have that counterbalancing force anymore, because their whole economy stagnates. They're not making anything new. They're not advancing their production techniques. They're not inventing new technology. And so you actually do have a situation where whatever state-owned corporations that exist in that system, they start to collapse because they hit that wall, the exact same wall that Microsoft is hitting right now.
Yep. And this is also where you need the new stuff and the new markets to come up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what Microsoft is thinking is the new market is AI, of course. That's what they're really starting to bet on now. The new market will be AI. They're spending billions to develop it, and all of the big companies are spending billions to develop AI. And if it works, then yeah, that probably will be a major new market. And then we'll basically start all of the evolution over again, where the equivalent of the 10-inch TV will cost $10,000, and then 30 years later you'll have fucking robots taking care of your laundry, stuff like that.
Yep.
So long as you can keep the innovation going. And so long as you cannot murder the industry whilst you're doing it.
Yeah. It's see, here's the thing, guys. Like, there's a lot of reasons to dislike Marx. There's a lot of things that he got wrong, but I do think that just the blind hatred of where we're not going to even look at anything he said. No, you have to look at even people you disagree with. All right, I know that is the primary reason I am labeled a communist, is because I listen to people I disagree with. But nonetheless, you still got to do it, I think. You still got to find those few nuggets of truth that exist every once in a while.
Dev needs to embrace just a little bit of communism. But of course, there's also the problem, though. So I'll send you this here. So this is one of the big reasons why a lot of this is also happening. It is the DEI, the politicization of the system. Because in a pure capitalist system, where the industry just lives and dies off its own product, great. We would probably have a far greater cycle of companies, like in the old days. Like, most of the old video game companies aren't around anymore, because they made good game, awful game, dead. Whereas now, it can continue ad infinitum, almost, due to the continuous investment of ESG money, or by the continued buying up of bad franchises. Like, I think even Forspoken had, like, DLC announced for it. Like, they tried to continue it.
Well, I think at this point with DLC, as companies have already like Jesus, they've already half developed the DLC when the game comes out, so they can't like not. They lose more money not making it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose. And this company here, Black Girl Gamers, well, they were one of the people who worked on Forspoken, helping it turn into the failure that it was. And these DEI companies, this is just more of the fucking bloat, isn't it? Like, you're making a game, and then you go to your boss and say, hey, can we spend like 10, 20 grand on hiring racial activists to see if our game is racially sensitive enough for them? And there are so many of these corporations. I mean, this is an entire company that does just that. Like, this is a business model to basically browbeat Whitey into giving them money. There was a comedy that did this. I can't remember the name of it now, but...
Service guarantees citizenship.
Christ. It's the Society of Magical Negroes, but real, I guess.
I was going to say, yeah, we talked about this last week. The only reason I know about this Black Girl Gamers thing
Heresy's
is
the
because
question.
Gothics has been
Fire
talking
is
about
the
it.
answer.
If you know who Gothics is.
I don't. What I know about them is that they're currently trying to sue a website called That Park Place for releasing a article pointing out that black girls gamers hiring practices may be discriminatory.
Well, they are discriminatory because Gothics is a black YouTuber who used to work for them and got fired for not being the right type of black person.
Really now?
And so she told her story. She made a video about it a few days ago. She went on Side Scrollers and talked about the situation. So, yes, yeah. And I do like some of Gothics' stuff. I think she's a bit too conspiracy brained when it comes to January 6th and the 2020 election, but that's a whole other topic. But when it comes to this sort of stuff, she's pretty good. And she does have some industry experience. She does have a channel with, I think it's 350,000 subscribers. So like she has a presence online for sure. And the fact that she was on the inside of Black Girl Gamers does make her take pretty interesting.
That is very interesting.
You haven't heard? Hey, you haven't heard of her before?
No, I have not.
I first heard of her because I think a couple of years ago, fucking actual Jake, the corn cob bread tuber, he was ducking a debate with her. She wanted to debate him and he wouldn't do it. That was like 2 years ago. And I've been following her ever since. But no, see, see how to find her take. Hold on, give me a second here. I'll see if I can look for it.
Because the Park Place article, they had a tweet by Black Girl Gamers where they said, "We are looking for a black female content creator for possible brand deals." And that is the tweet that they covered, saying that these appeared to be discriminatory hiring practices. And, I mean, yeah. What can I say? That does seem to be an accurate description. But they have since launched like a full witch hunt against these, including Grums. I'm sure you've seen him before on Twitter, the previous World of Warcraft developer.
Yep. And in fact, Gothics replied to Grums about it. So I'm gonna pull it up because basically the TLDR of it was that Black Girl Gamers, they were going after gamers for some reason that I don't quite know. And then Grums was replying, and there was some sort of legal battle getting involved. And then Gothic showed up and then gave her story, her take. Here we go. I found it. I found at least this, so we can talk. If you want to pull this up, Arch, we can talk about Gothic's experience in Black Girl Gamers. So she says, "As a former Black Girl Gamers member, I can confidently say these people are full of crap. They do not care about diversity. They promptly kicked me out for being anti-black, aka not making an idol out of my skin color and refusing to hate white people. I was harassed by them for months after the fact and received an onslaught of vitriol from many of their black members. Do you know how Black Girl Gamers responded? They blocked me and scrubbed my existence off of their platforms. Most of the vitriol I received from many of their members made it into the final cut of the Gothics documentary. So I guess she made a documentary about herself. So she has the receipts in there. Well, okay. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I think she turned more towards the right wing after her experience with these types of activists. And that's kind of where she finds herself now. But her story is interesting.
Yep. Okay, yeah, that's come in response to that, which is that maybe linking back to it? No. But yeah, they sent people after Grumps. That's the one. Yes, yeah, so he did a thing on Sweet Baby Inc., where he actually brought receipts, because you know how part of the thing was that they had never changed a character's skin color from like white to black, for example?
Yep.
Well, Grums got the receipts that they actually had. He talked to a person who had worked on a project where the character was originally white and was turned into a black woman after Sweet Baby Inc. had been brought in.
What game or character was that?
Compulsions Games Contraband was the game.
Okay.
by Avalanche
Now,
Studio Groups.
now here's the thing, right? I
Piracy's the
I know
question.
I'm gonna
Fire
sound
is
like a
the
lefty
answer.
cuck once again. I actually
Oh
don't
no.
care that much about woke nonsense in video games if you are making your own IP, right?
Lynch him, chat.
If you're not
Lynch him
if
now.
you're not coming listen, if you're not coming in and ruining Spider-Man or ruining Alan Wake or ruining whatever the fuck, you're just gonna make your own shitty game off on your own side of the internet, that's fine. You go do that, all right? Just don't prevent me from enjoying the games that I like. Because the market is big enough. You can make your shitty progressive game, and the shitty progressives can go and buy it. All right, but don't come in and make every game a progressive game because that's retarded. So I am less incensed about this random no name game that I never heard of having this sort of woke nonsense in it than I am regarding a game that I actually want to play. You know what I mean?
Well, the issue is because of it is the groups that cause it, like the Sweet Baby Inks, the Black Girl Gamers, the ESG funds that run them. That is the reason why we get the white for black characters. If it was see, I would agree with you because this is the same position as Asmongold held. If a developer wants to make a black character, go ahead, fair enough, and I agree. But in this day and age, we don't know if they made a black character because they thought, oh, hey, this would be cool, I like brown girls. Or if they were like, we'll get sued if we don't. No. That is the issue. Yep. So this becomes then the part of the politics. It's the companies that push it, and it is done for a political reason. And it is kind of a problem because I would love more delicious brown girls in my entertainment, of course. But it then becomes hard to look at it and go, okay, did you just so happen to be black or?
Yeah, because it's the same with lesbians, right? Having a lesbian in your game or in your show wasn't a political statement before, and now it is.
If anything, it was kind of like a sexy statement.
Yes.
It's like, lesbians, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But those days are long gone, unfortunately.
Those days are long gone. And, in fact, to shill Dev a little bit here, the video you did today on what is woke, you started out by saying that woke is a word that is in common usage and is often used incorrectly. Like, just because a video game has a black character in it, it's described as woke, right?
Yeah.
And that is a genuine problem and a concern that, unfortunately, I don't think there's anything we can do anything about at the moment, because it is so damn difficult to discern whether it was made for wokeist reasons. It's kind of amusing, but the thing that made wokeism so dangerous and so effective and so geniusly subtle will actually come back to bite it even harder in the end. I actually think that wokeism will lead to greater discrimination against trans people, definitely. Against black people, probably. Because it'll be really hard now to determine whether a trans initiative is genuinely because, hey, I have a problem, or are you trying to push something?
You know what? Every reasonable trans person that I've spoken to says the same thing. They are so tired with progressives ruining it for them, because for a while we had hit that leave me alone sweet spot where it didn't matter, like no one cared what anyone did. You just leave them alone, and that was fine, and everyone was okay with that. And but then the left wingers kept pushing it further and further and further, and so we're at a point now where people are, reasonable trans people, reasonable gay people, reasonable, racial minorities, all these different minority groups. They're at the point where they're just fucking done with the left pushing this and pushing this and pushing this, because now there's the swing back, and now things are being made worse for them.
Yep.
There was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot it. It was much earlier in what you had said. Shit, I have to think about it for a minute.
And finally, as well, just to point out also from this page here, as the Gothics chick said, they are not about diversity. They are actually actively racially discriminatory. As they say proudly on their own website, 100% minority operated. I love that too, by the way. We are 100% of the available people. Thus, we are the minority. I adore it.
Yeah.
And we are going to have to purge all of this. All of it.
I mean, minority just means black to them. That's all. I mean,
Yes.
there was that one Reddit. It was a Reddit story, so take it with a grain of salt. But there was that one Reddit story where basically there was a black woman who's like, I want you to make a portfolio with some stock images. And the guy's like, okay. And so he puts in, you just grab some random images off the internet. And she's like, this isn't diverse enough. And he goes, oh, sorry about that. Then he puts in like white people and like Indian people and Asian people and black people. And then she says, that's still not diverse enough. And he's like, what the fuck? And eventually he just made one with all black women. And the person was like, okay, you did it. Good job. It's like, well, that's not diverse. It's just another monoculture from the other way around now.
It's a diversity. Right. Let's get to some super chats then as well. I feel like the main topic was smaller than our random retard topics, but you know what? That's fine.
Question. Fire
That's how it is
the
sometimes,
answer.
Real Holstein says, hi Arch and Dev. Dev, is your chair holding up okay under your weight with your L-heavy diet?
Yes.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
MercedeX21, no Dev, the slope is inevitable. No marriage, period. Ooh, yes. See, okay. Dev and V had an argument in the super secret conspiracy chat the other day, where Dev was like, I don't think the solution is to
Service
abolish all
guaranteed
food
citizenship.
standards. And you know what? That's correct, Dev. The solution is to abolish all governmental standards, full stop.
No, Arch, it is not.
Return to monkey. Boog says,
Can't
give
return
Dev an
monkey.
inch and he will crush your chest.
No.
Boog will come to your
Chairs are
house
fine.
and destroy all of your sitting arrangements.
You know what? I'll just eat Boog for fun. I'll do it.
CGR 902, a simple 2-question test to get a voting card. 1, did you have breakfast? 2, how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast?
I get the joke.
You get the joke. I don't get the joke.
Wait, really?
I haven't heard of this joke before.
You can't be serious, Arch. You can't. You're fucking trolling me right now.
I haven't heard of this joke before.
The whole "how would you feel if you hadn't had breakfast today" thing.
Yeah?
Arch. I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it.
I haven't heard this joke, Dev. I'm Norwegian.
There's no fucking way. Okay, hold on. Hold on.
What am I holding on to?
I'm going to give you the thing. Hold on. I gotta find it now.
I mean, I see the lingual trap. If you feel if you didn't have breakfast, so it's the same question, but I don't get the joke.
Oh my god, can I find the original, or is it all just gonna be
Can
fucking?
you find the original?
Okay. Here, I think I found the original. Here, just read this off real quick, Arch. I'll post it in the link channel.
Oh god, that's long, Dev. Why are you doing this to me?
Yep, read it off. It's okay.
No problem. I did IQ research as a grad student and it involved a lot of this stuff. Did you know that most people, 95+% with less than 90 IQ, can't understand conditional hypotheticals? For example, how would you have felt yesterday evening if you hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch? What do you mean? I did eat
Fire
breakfast
is the
and
answer.
lunch. Yes, but if you had not, how would you have felt? Well, you're saying that I didn't eat breakfast. I just told you that I did. Imagine if you hadn't eaten it, though, how would you have felt? I don't understand the question. Really? That's true? We did corner research in convicts of San Quentin. They're absolutely at least 50% illiterate. Is this true, though? Is this? I don't believe this is... No.
Yeah, so the how would you have felt if you hadn't eaten breakfast today became a meme. Well, part of the post was cut out because there was a racial component to this post as it continues on.
I see.
And So the meme became, if you're encountering a black person who just doesn't seem to get it, ask them how they would have felt if they didn't eat breakfast today. And that's the joke. And that became a meme that like flourished for the past few years.
I see. I still don't believe if I believe that most people, like really, most people can't engage with a hypothetical. I don't know. That's weird.
Oh, here's another component of it. Here.
See, that's as weird to me as when I was told that some people can't see pictures in their head. That fucking floors me.
Yeah, this is part of the same type of conversation. Yeah, so read this one out too.
It's the main reason why so many people with sub 90 IQ are sociopathic or psychopathic. They don't have the mental computing power to model other people's thoughts and feelings. I've seen it over and over with convicts. How do you think that man felt when you beat him? Dunno. How do you think that boy's mother felt when she heard that her son was dead? Dunno. It comes across as psychopathic, but these people literally don't have the brain power to build even a crude model of someone else's mind, let alone populate it with events that are in the past. Yeah, that's weird.
So this is a more extreme version of the can't see images in your head, or like can't hear a song in your head, or can't there's no internal monologue of your thoughts, right?
See,
I don't know how true any of this is, but it's fucking wild.
That really songs. Okay, Dev, when you think of a song, you hear it in your head as it was sung, right? Tone, pitch, cadence. If you've got Britney Spears in your head, it is Britney Spears, right?
Yes, and I can also change it if I want to as well.
And you can see images.
Yep, no problem.
See, I don't... Okay. See, I thought that was the baseline. I thought everyone was like that.
No, apparently that's actually quite rare.
Really? That is fucking weird.
Mm-hmm. I can also recall smells and tastes pretty accurately.
Tastes I can. Smells I've never tried.
To be honest, with smells, it works the best with smells that are very strong, which are generally bad ones, which is why most people don't try. But I can do it, and I can recall tastes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've learned something new today.
Yes, someone in the chat asked, Arch, can you imagine an apple and turn it? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm doing it right now.
And just rotate it, yeah?
Yep. I imagine the light bouncing off the apple. I imagine the little freckles on the apple as it turns. I imagine the stilt turning, yeah?
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
Okay, well, I didn't know that was some sort of superpower, but I guess I'll take it. Not much. I still claim that my biggest superpower is my ability to wake up without an alarm clock. That's still my leading superpower.
You know what's funny? I used to have that ability, but I think I got too fat because I lost it again. Whenever there's a tipping point of weight where if I get fat enough, I lose the ability to do that.
Okay, well, something else I didn't know.
And I've been like hovering, like I've been getting it back and losing it as I hover around a certain weight. So I think I'm on the threshold right now. I gotta lose some more weight. Yeah.
All right. So, Jard, Dev, we've voted no in large scale to woke redefining family, and there was a poll where 75% of Irish wanted immigrants out. The politicians keep pushing left-wing bullshit from the EU, though. Well, yeah, that's the problem with supranational entities, too, the EU. Like, okay, the farmers' movements are actually perfect because we need to return to an age where the politicians are viscerally afraid of their constituency. There needs to be the actual real observable threat of a farmer driving up to your fucking house in the middle of the night, shoving a drain pipe through your window and just filling your bedroom with actual liquid caca. That needs to be a scenario.
It is in France right now, it seems.
And it should always be. The Real Wholesale, also Dev, I was talking about the definition of woke, and you happened to release a video on it an hour later. What an amazing timing.
Well, actually, Wholesale, aren't you a member on my channel? Because it was out early for members. So I thought you had already seen it before.
Oh God. If he's a member on your channel but not on mine, I'm gonna have to punish him.
Oh.
Mercenaries 21, Racist knows of Dev. I want that debate.
Does
So,
he?
there you go.
Heresy's the question.
Marxist shame, don't
Fire
rumble.
is the answer.
How?
Somebody's super chat now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess someone's out there.
Resist Super Earth. Join Inclusive Earth. A message from the Automatron National Industrial
Service
Territory
guaranteed
Association
citizenship.
and the Preservation of Environments for Terminids Alliance. And Pokelda also on Rumble. For anyone still looking for the D&D episode where Dev dies, its title Got to Kill the Queen Now. And it's on the ArchCast channel without a space in the name. Yeah, Rumble's a bit dirty with that. But it's there. It's there.
Yep.
Dreyfie, with Dev on this... With Dev on
Here's
this
the
one,
question.
colonialism for the
Fire is
win.
the answer.
See, your view of authoritarian tyrannical force used to enforce your will upon other nations is a thing that chat does agree with, but I'll lead most of them into pro-Confederacy soon enough. Fun too, but Arch, the Confederates were their own nation at the time, so ending their slave trade is good. Well, they only became their own nation because they were ending their slave, and there wasn't their slave trade. I want to point out, the Confederates didn't actually trade in slaves, they merely purchased them. Subtle but important difference.
I guess that is a subtle but important difference. No, it's not. Purge them, Arch.
No, it's not. It is a subtle but important difference.
Purge them.
Boog says Leafs cannot define what is morally correct. They cannot. We must stop them. We
Yes, I
would,
can. Watch me.
we would suffer tyranny under their oak. Ed, here's my most right-wing take. Makes a leftist statement. That is Dev in a nutshell. Pretty much.
Wait, what leftist statement were you talking about?
Anything that comes out of your mouth. You know it's true. The Dominant 25, in order to enforce, you must first have force. Robert Edwin House. It's true.
Yep.
The Neil Holzinator, vote Holzinator for world dictator so we can hurl the earth into the
Heresy's
sun.
the question. Fire is the
The
answer.
Chinese did that. You know, they made a movie about doing that, about, you know, pushing space, Earth through space. They did that.
They did that?
They did that.
Why?
Heresy's the question.
Because
Fire
our
is
Earth
the answer.
exploded, and they were like, let's just take Earth and just leave.
Thanks, China.
Boog says, as a Mexican, the Golden Circle sounds amazing.
Heresy's the question.
You have deprived
Fire is
Boog
the
of a good
answer.
future, Dev. He could have
It
been a
sounded
southern landowner.
nightmarish. Nightmarish, guys. It sounded nightmarish.
How about that? Boog could have been on his porch, you know, rocking his wheelchair, picking and
Service
getting people to pick
guaranteed
cotton for him, but
citizenship.
instead, he has to hide from gangsters. Why did you do this, Dev? Why did you do this to him?
Boog would have been a slave, and we all know it.
I don't know. Have you seen Boog? Boog is rather entrepreneuring. Okay, he draws a lot of MLP hentai.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah. He would have been a gifted slave, as they called them. Slava Booga, if Devonians approach your border, loose your lead. Self-defense. This is why America invaded Canada in the Fallout universe. That guy Gus, if the war had been about slavery, then it would have started before the South left, and they would have abolished it in Maryland and Delaware once it started. The terms of surrender would have also mentioned it. Racist video. It was in part about slavery. The moral imperative to end slavery was an element of it. It just wasn't the sole one. Zedekiah says, Dev approves of Sherman's genocide. Dev, are you pro Sherman's march to the sea?
Possibly. What did he do? Let me look
Awesome.
it up. Let me see. Hold on. Give me a second. Sherman's March to the Sea was a military campaign of the American Civil War conducted through Georgia. Okay. Sherman's troop left Atlanta. They had a
Heresy's the question.
scorched earth
Fire is
policy,
the
destroying
answer.
military targets as well as industry, infrastructure, civilian property, disrupting the Confederacy's economy and transportation networks. The operation debilitated the Confederacy and helped lead to its eventual surrender. Based. What's the problem here?
Dev comes out in favor of war crimes so long as they are carried out against Dev's enemies.
What's the problem here? Yeah.
Well, it was deeply illegal. Deeply, deeply illegal.
Wait, by whose standards?
By everyone's standards. The active targeting of civilian infrastructure and civilian housing was very, very illegal, even by that time standard. Because basically what they did is they would destroy everything. Civilian houses, railway infrastructure, towns, cities, grain silos, steal the food, etc. It was an active targeting measure against the civilian population. An effective one, though, mind you.
Listen, Arch. If they're slavers, they're not civilians.
Oh. Dev has defined his enemy to no longer have human rights.
Based.
No crimes will be committed against the enemies of Devonism, for no such thing is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Mark DeShane has been a member for 12 months. Thank you very much, sir. Nice to know attending church will soon be prohibited. Probably. Poposot, hey people, Dev, for your recent vid, the answering about invading home thieves is simple. Turn them into trionomants so others get the message and leave.
Yeah, the squatters' rights video. I was still ultimately wrong about that, is that the rest of the world has implemented a solution for squatters' rights, but Americans don't like it because it would mean giving the government more power. It's a shame.
Well, so long as taking your house back from the squatters includes violence, then I guess it's fine.
Did you see that one, Arch?
I did not.
Okay,
I watched a little bit of it.
is-
I watched you trying to voice act Spanish, and then I gave up.
Ha. The TLDR of it was basically that the rest of the world solved squatters' rights by having a centralized land registry that the government monitors, right? But the issue is that the American conception of property ownership is very private. It's not that the state grants you ownership of this property, but the state is the ultimate arbiter of who gets to own what. The Americans don't like that. And there's a good reason as to why they don't like that. But the upsides of such a system is that whenever there's a dispute between a squatter and a landowner, all the authorities have to do in Canada or in Australia, where another system is implemented, or in France or wherever, is just go to the land office, pull out the records, see who last bought the land. It's like, oh, here it is. And so the squatter gets thrown off the lands. And that's how we solve the problem. But Americans don't do that. Americans rely on a very decentralized system where the history of certain plots of land aren't kept. They just have deeds of who currently owns it, right? So a squatter can produce a fake deed. They can produce a fake lease and claim that they're renting the property, and then the cops have to say, well, we don't know what paperwork is real. You have to bring this to the court and have it figured out there. So the cops have their hands tied. But that's not how it works here. Right here, you can just go and check out. It's all kept in a centralized database. But Americans don't like that type of state centralization of power, so they've consistently rejected this solution at the polls. Oh yeah, someone in the chat says we do have land offices here, Yeah, but they're not the same kind of thing because they're county by county and they don't record the entire history of the parcel of land. Some places do, most places don't.
Boog says, oh no, slavery would have ended in the 20th century. How awful. Tell me how many indentured illegals cross into the US every year. How many, Dev?
Too many. Close the border.
Heresy's the question.
Dev?
Fire is the answer.
Should we invade the Middle East?
What part of it? And for what reason?
All of it. For the reason
The
of
whole
slavery.
thing?
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
Based. Let's end him.
At least he's consistent, chat. At least he's consistent.
Heresy's the question.
Jafar the Blade,
Fire
South
is the
slavery was
answer.
already at surf at... Yeah, why did you scroll? I wish it wouldn't scroll. Where was I?
Service guarantees citizenship.
Jeff Hotherblade says, South slavery was already at serfdom level. It wouldn't have lasted 20 years, and the North allowed Indians to take and keep slaves till the 1920s. Ooh. But why did they do that, Dev, if slavery was immoral? Dev.
Wait, sorry, what was that? What did you say?
Indians were allowed to keep and hold slaves until 1920s in the North.
Probably some fucking Indian rights bullshit where they struck some deal to try to keep the Indians on side. I don't know. Probably some practical, some real politics shit.
Realpolitik. Should Indians not have rights to their lands, Dev?
No. The reservation system should be ended. All natives should be made citizens and enjoy equal rights. None of this special privileges bullshit.
See, chat, sometimes he does speak sense.
All the time.
Adherent of Lady Columbia, vlogging thought history's response to words. Vlogging thought history's response to Toon-Shay films and Racifist have the best full context of the Civil War. Lincoln didn't overstep, but the South was morally and intellectually bankrupt in cause. Lincoln did overstep. You could certainly claim that they did have a moral problem on their hand, but Lincoln, at the end of the day, is the worst human being. At the end of Lady Columbia also says, ideas guide the world as the idea inform all levels of society. If not, the long march will be meaningless. Power seeks purpose. It is a tool. That is a cute way of seeing it. Well, yeah, I guess supposedly relatively accurate as well, although I will say that sometimes power for power's sake is certainly a thing as well. Mercenary X21, can we make Drukari into hot red-headed tomboys then? Yes. Go ahead. I see no reason to object. Mercenary X21, can we make... Manga 2, the social media upvote aliens in the Orville are called Sarguns. What did Seth MacFarlane mean by this? Who knows? Who knows indeed? Stephen Hunt, when are we going to recognize Dev's toilet is a prisoner of war? Dev? Is this more Devian law?
No, it is not.
It's
sure? All fake news.
You haven't enslaved somebody to sit on them and poop in them?
Fake news.
I don't know. Sometimes I doubt Dev.
Why?
Well, actually, Dev, you gave me a reason just today when you lied about why we were late, Dev.
Wait, that's not a lie. I told the truth.
Shot yourself in foot, Dev.
Hold on. Did you not do the thing that I said?
That wasn't the reason.
Sure it was.
No.
I was sitting here waiting and you said, oh, there's a mistake. I have to go fix it. And you went to go fix it.
No.
And I sat here patiently. There was no problem.
Dev.
Everything was okay.
You are the reason I mistrust you, Dev. You.
Am I?
The real Holsnader, no one cares if men Minecraft themselves, Dev. Veteran activists don't demand under penalty of a hate crime to refer to vets in a specific way.
True. But I saw a lot of these comments in the chat. I'll just reply to them all right now. I want you guys to understand something when you make a comparison, okay? Comparisons are not saying that one thing is the same as the other thing, all right? You make a comparison so that you may see how these things that are somewhat similar are also somewhat different, because it's in those differences that you understand, that you gain understanding. I had to say this back when I compared the Hogwarts Legacy shit to the Bud Light shit, because I compared those two and everyone lost their fucking minds being like, Dev thinks they're the exact same thing. No, I don't. No, I do not. The idea is that you compare similar things so that you may understand the differences between them, okay? And I did the same thing here, and I would like you guys to, I don't know, level up your fucking comprehension skills a little bit, okay?
Once again, Dev launches an unprovoked assault on chat. Why does he do this, chat?
Chat deserves it.
Glow in the Dark says, the whole right had to work together to drag Lizzo a few feet. She truly shows how much she is the bedrock of America to handle the weight.
Service guarantees
Lizzo causes
citizenship.
fault lines. Mercenaries, anyone? Lizzo equals peak true Hollywood. They want Babylon here. Are we saying she is the, of Babylon? Oh, God. That's terrible.
You know?
Zedekiah, I started noticing social justice and all its ills when my college ran an opinion piece titled, Your DNA is an Abomination. Sargatuni actually talked about it at a live event. Your DNA is an abomination. Wow, that's... Sometimes, I remember when Sargon did like a video thing way back when he basically asked, like, okay, who said this, a Nazi or an SJW? And that's very much one of those.
I remember that too. It was pretty good.
And Dolly Balls, ignore the resurrection of Christ for Mental Illness Celebration Day. This is modern America. It does feel like we're heading ever further towards idiocracy sometimes. It really does.
Sometimes, yeah.
Idiocracy is a very good movie that has aged very well. Actually, I don't know about that, but it was a funny movie. Reverend Norse, Dev is so bloody wrong on the US Civil War, it's nightmarish. Arch is totally correct. I hope we never have to trust Dev to stand for us on anything. Dev.
Oh, don't worry. I mean, I'm not a friend of the right wing, guys. I don't know if you guys have figured that out yet. If you are looking to if you are coming to me looking specifically for loyalty to the right, you will not get it.
Dev has no loyalty to anything. He has no morals, no scruples.
I wouldn't go that far, Arch.
But Dev, the right is us. We are the right now.
Nope. I refuse.
Mercenaries, anyone? Do you see now, Arch, why I believe Tarot card over Dev? He is very wrong on the American Civil War. It's true. It's a little bit shameful. But,
Service guarantees citizenship.
I guess Dev is entitled to be incredibly wrong on a few things, so occasionally, every now and then. The dodgy UK, but slavery still happens in parts of the world where lots of black clothes are worn in hot countries. That is true. It is true. But Dev is also all in favor of invading those nations, so that's good as well. He's a consistent Dev.
Mm-hmm.
Boog, did Diddy do it or did Diddy didn't do it? We'll find out. Zero, excuse me, Arch. Trucks of color. Oh, trucks of color. Why does the federal government always use trucks of color? Like, surely they do it because they know it looks intimidating or something. I swear to God. Like, somebody sat down in a commission years and years ago and was like, okay, so what's going to be the official color of our federal trucks? And somebody just said, like, black, of course. Like, why? Because it's fucking intimidating, that's why.
Yeah. Also, I think it's harder to see various imperfections. Like, if a red car has a scratch on it, you're probably going to see it. But if a black car has a scratch on it, you're less likely to see it. So it's probably easy to not track them.
Yeah.
Which is a guess, though.
Sounds fair enough. The Dodgy UK, Siege of Rack's novel announce review? Maybe. Mark Jane, P. Diddy Wad Gamergate. P. Diddy what? Gamergate? What? McWild11, what is P. Diddy? Why do we care? Misdirection? Misdirection. No, I don't think so. See, I don't think everything is a misdirection. Sometimes stupid shit just happens. Not everything is a governmental ploy. Most things are a governmental ploy, of course, but not everything. P. Diddy carrying out human trafficking? I can see it. it. Zylan Doppelganger, how much for you to play Dead Space 2? When it gets remastered, then I'll play Dead Space 2.
Service guarantees citizenship.
So, Jard, commie gobbledygook. If commies and leftists were trying to destabilize Western society and pushing for regulations that only help megacorps. I mean, sort of, yes. A lot of the regulations were very much so aimed towards their agenda in the long run. One of the weirdest things that must ever have, like, I wonder if Marx himself wouldn't have been a little bit confused. You know, if he arrived today and realized that the corporations were probably his foremost allies. Like, that must have been a weird moment, right? The entrenched capitalist structure is the best way for him to spread his ideology. That must have been a weird realization. McMullen11 says, at Dev, disappointed with full commie mode. Harder, Canuck. Icthulu. Great indie by one person. Mecha Knights updated this week. It's EDF meets Armored Core. Fun game. Hope you consider streaming or at least giving it a look. Possibly. Dreyfus, wasn't Marx a bum layabout in his personal life? He was indeed all of these things, yes. And he got somebody else to take care of him, so clearly he did something, right? He convinced somebody that he was worthy of just laying about. Mark the James says, what do you tell a New York woman with 2 black eyes? Nothing. She's already been told twice. I know this joke. It's a good joke.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
It is. Zero, isn't DEI gods in Latin? Am I late on this one? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it is. DEI. Day.
Day. Deity? Day. Oh, I guess. I don't like that. Marksman of 117B, did his crime like South Park says, a rich black man? Maybe. Black Hat 7K, don't trust Grumps any further than you can throw him. That was the Joker that did that BS with Firefall's development. Oh, really? With Firefall's development. So he took it from somebody else? Interesting. Defend, Dev, what happened to the demonetized channel? Well, I know, but Dev can tell you.
Should I?
Yes, why not?
So, it was the dog pill.
Actually, hold on. No. Stop.
Oh.
Because that would be a trail connecting you to channel.
I mean, it wasn't owned by me.
I know, overly paranoid, but technically, remember, Sargon's Lotus Eaters was demonetized for merely being associated with him, so maybe we shouldn't.
Okay.
Just a paranoia, but it was taken down, and Dev is fine. Let's just leave it at that.
Yep, not my channel. Not my channel.
Yep, not his channel. Completely independent. Zero, have you looked into Bridge yet? I have not. It's their attempt to rebrand it, which I think is just not really going to work. We'll see, I suppose. If it becomes relevant, I'll look more into it.
I looked into it a little bit.
What does it do?
The Bridge stuff?
Yeah.
It is basically as
Heresy's
you say.
the question.
It is
Fire
it is like a
is the
rebranding.
answer.
It's like a you know how like it's when you have the concept of DEI and then you have a whole bunch of different companies trying to implement it and they put their own name on it, they put their own spin on it, like they call it whatever. Bridge is just another group doing the kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Bridge stands for Benchmarking Race, Inclusion, and Diversity in Global Engagement.
Sounds like the exact kind of retarded shit I'd expect. A guy under a bridge, fittingly enough, says, been looking around ever since I saw your video on villains that are better characters than heroes, and I just keep finding more. Part 2, please. Part 2? Well, I feel like I got through pretty much everything I wanted to say in part 1, so I don't know what the part 2 would necessarily cover, but maybe. Matthew Rumbler's been a member for 7 months. The woke left want discrimination to get worse, though, Dev. That's why they have something to fight against, and they do become irrelevant. Yeah, they need something to continue to fight against, or they become irrelevant, I think is the thing he's saying. Zero, can I join the super secret conspiracy chat? No, it's only for a handful of YouTubers that Sargon have chosen to betray him.
There hasn't been that many betrayals, to be honest. A few people had to be kicked out, but otherwise, despite all of our disagreements, we're pretty tight.
There have been two minor purges, but only two, which is it's pretty good by internet standards. 2 minor purges. That's quite a good record, honestly. Boog says, Dev, Yes, that's what it says. Dev, I'll you what I told Kibbs. Buy me dinner and a movie. You owe him at least that much if you're going to hurt him or sexualize him.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
McWall11, Ebonics doesn't have conditional hypotheticals. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. We should study Ebonics and see if it does. Adam and Friended, I like to believe Grum's tweet about South of Midnight, but if it isn't verified yet, it could be true, but it's not verified by the sources or by showing proof like Discord messages. I will hold my judgment until then. Well, he did have a screenshot of the character, and it was a grayscale model, so, it could have been black, but hairstyle, facial features looked white to me. I know we're phrenologizing this, but, I'll believe it, I guess. Sandoom, Arch, is there any food from when you were young that is gone? For me, is Mama Rosa Pizza, a brand in the US that was discontinued. Yeah, there was a type of pizza that was gone. There was also these little candy thingies, little candy gumball thingies that I know I used to love that just doesn't exist anymore, which is tragic.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of snack foods that have kind of disappeared here. That kind of sucks. And nothing. It's even stuff that I wouldn't even eat today. You know what I mean? But it's candy that existed when I was a kid and I ate a lot of candy and it no longer exists now. And it's oh, I guess kids nowadays are eating different candy, Actually, I remember that there was purple ketchup for a while.
Purple ketchup?
You can't find... Yeah, they would dye the ketchup purple because it was the 2000s and things were wacky and zany.
Fire is
you can't find that anymore. No, a lot of stuff has just kind of disappeared, it seems.
I suppose I don't mind the disappearance of purple ketchup. That just sounds weird, but... Oh well. Weird. Paramount is doing a fire sale. Imagine if GW bought Star Trek. Star Trek could be a dark age of technology canon. That would be a little funny, at least. It would be at least a little funny.
Real quick, Arch, pull that up. I just put it in the link channel.
Alright, I just need to hide my MLP first.
Yeah, man. That picture isn't in the article, so there's the picture on its own if you want to pull it up. But look at that. Look at that purple ketchup.
Heinz Easy Squirt. Funky purple. That does sound very 2000s.
Yep. And the container, the way that it looks, all the different purple stripes and the font on Easy Squirt, this is a product of the 90s and 2000s, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff like this that have just disappeared.
And that is the true tragedy. It was just a more laid-back time, in general. Even the corporations were more fucking laid-back. I mean, we used to have crossovers between all kinds of different universes, just homages, just funny little stupid side quest characters and stuff. I mean, the Lord of the Rings were in Warhammer for ages. But now everything is so serious.
Oh my god, Choco Tacos are gone.
Choco Tacos?
I forgot about these. Okay. It's frozen ice cream, but with a waffle cone, but in the shape of a taco.
I think we've actually got something similar to that in Norway, but not in the shape of a taco, but in a boat.
In a boat? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find... There we go. There. Boaties.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it.
It's in a boat. Because it's, boat. Ice. The Dodge UK, did PDD say he voted for Trump? Well, if he did say that, then we know why they raided his house. So, it's mystery solved, I guess.
Oh my god. Okay. Now that I'm looking this up. So Arch, this is just a big jug of powder that when you chew it turns into bubble gum.
Okay, why?
Because that was the thing. That was the best way to get your bubble gum back in the 90s. And these are chocolate chips. And I don't mean like chocolate chips like you bake with, but rather chocolate shaped into the form of a potato chip that you were expected to snack on like potato chips.
That is weird, but I guess I see the appeal. I think my fingers would be getting all sticky if I had to grab them all the time like that. I don't know.
But yeah, those are foods that are gone. And the last one that I remember, here, check this out. These are 3D Doritos.
Service guarantee.
This is back when like the 3D craze was a thing, you know? So 3D gaming was coming into prominence, 3D movies. You had 3D Doritos, where basically it was a chip, but it was a three-dimensional chip.
Service guarantee.
It had like,
Three-dimensional chip. Oh.
Yeah, it was inflated, right? So it was like a pyramid.
Oh, that is retarded, Dev. But very 2000s.
We had it good back in the day, man.
We did. We unironically did.
Yep. I've got to go, though. It is time. It's time for me to go to my own
8
stream.
minutes, Dev. Why are you 8 minutes late and leave 8 minutes early, Dev? Dev,
That's
that
how it
is
is.
fucking true, you fucking little traitorous piece of shit.
I will see you next time. I'll see you next time, chat. See you next time, Arch.
I'm gonna do something to betray you tonight, Dev.
Bye.
Bye. So locks on Doppelganger. In order to keep the politicians afraid, you must be willing to do violence against them. Well, filling somebody's bedroom with caca is not violence in my book. It's a reminder. Zero, Dev, I think gaining weight ruined my sleep too. Sujad, Arch, Dev, have you thought about doing a video on some interesting 4chan threads? I can send you some via Discord. 4chan channel, Not that I was planning on it immediately, no. Going to Dim, on the breakfast discussion, it's not about being stupid and unable to conceptualize, but about lack of critical skills. Hence, midwits can get a low-level doctorate, but are just educated idiots then. Suppose that's true. Shatter Liang Yang. All images I think of are kind of fuzzy, and I can only see details if I'm actively thinking of them and only a couple at a time. See, I don't have that at all. Yeah, no, I can see the image. But I see the image in my head. I can kind of, cast it on the wall and see it too, but it's pretty clear. That's weird. I wonder how the fuck people found that out. They just asked, so can you see apples in your head? And someone's like, no. It's like, really? Why not? Adam Unfriended. Happy Easter, Dev and Arch. Great video, Dev. Are you getting paid by Naomi tonight? Every night. Arch is based and Dev is cringe and unholy. It is true. Harpy81. Looks like Dev continues the profound history of Canadian war crimes. That is indeed correct. If Dev simply determines that no other people than him are people, then there are no war crimes to be committed. Until he loses the war. In which case he will have committed many war crimes. Adherent of Lady Columbia, Dev, watch Vlogging Through History and his response to Race of his rather very poor Civil War video and his response to Autumn Sheen's films.
Service
Full context.
guarantees citizenship.
Dr. T Money Dog, I was rewatching the Vampire RP when Demonetized got taken down. YouTube just hates funds and lollies, apparently. They do. They do indeed. Sandoom, I think Florida took away squatters' rights. We can but hope. Sujad, Dev, 85 of slave owners were Jewish. Even their own encyclopedia states this. You are being anti-Semitic. Google Jewish Encyclopedia, American Agriculture. Doman, Dev broke his toilet by sitting on it. I hope the porcelain would be able to handle his waste, but maybe not. Young Son 2, that's rich coming from the guy who said two groups see the same problem, so there are the same thing. Right, Dev? Noctiangelus, Dev, remember the South was the left during the Civil War. All Democrats. The right was on the side of the Union. I suppose that was the sadness part of it. Although right and left is perhaps not directly applicable to the period, but... Yeah, Holsteiner. Dev, we can solve blank rights by making it legal to monograph them. And if the blank win, you didn't deserve the property anyways. Dryfee, did Diddy diddle Diddy didn't do it, or Diddy did it? Did Diddy diddle, or Diddy do too little? Did Diddy diddle the littles? See, you can't tongue twist me with D's. You've got to use V's or W's. That'll fuck me up nicely. Holsteiner, if your comparison does not address the core principles, then it is a faulty comparison, which yours was. If Dev argues with the last statement, let me argue with him. Let me in to argue with him. Doman, Purple Dust Ketchup. Michael 11, missing snacks were clearly a bait trap for Dev. That's true. Black 917, hail Arch Christ, our Lord and Saviour. Traitor Dev. He will be put on the cross where he belongs. And Mark J. on Rumble. I now get why Hamas said Israel had a democratic government, so civilians are acceptable targets. Gaza doesn't have such, so Palestinian civilians are not acceptable targets. The Palestinian government is a deviant government. And finally, Jeff D. Will Kibbs ever return? Also, please make Kib a Fur Affinity account for lols. Kib will probably never return. He is traitor. Kib said to Arch that he didn't like Arch, and then he left the ArchCast. And then we did not like Kibbs either, and so we threw aspersions upon him, and will continue to do so for as long as I can. And one final note, by the way, isekai is now an official word in the Oxford English Dictionary. Just in case you needed one last little point of idiocy to remind you that the world in which we live is not real. This is all a computer simulation, and 2024 is just the entire program fucking glitching out and breaking down and beginning to eat itself. And that's what's happening. And if you don't believe it, explain this. Until next time, which will be in an hour, by the way, because, okay, another little funny thing. I'm going to do a late night stream today, playing some Enlisted, because I was fucking right. Enlisted release on Steam was a motherfucking disaster, and they have already suspended early access, because it was done fucking terribly by retards. That's why. Arch was correct, and Arch is going to tell you that he's correct. He's going to repeat it as long as Arch wishes to repeat it. Until then. Plus, I want to take revenge on Dev by streaming over him, because he's been a meanie grumpy puss to me today. Have a good day. Oh, Steve Hunt. Will works the walk at Wang's walk. Okay, that was short. I could kind of do that one. And Zero Hadron collided was the singularity change in my mind. Probably. And now, good night, chat. And thank you for your generous donations, as always. God damn it. Rafi, is this guy who runs the Oxford Dictionary a weeb? He is now.